Good
No,
afternoon, everybody. What? What? You
nothing.
s- you said oh right as we started. So
No, I said let's go.
oh, okay. Well, anyway, so we're live. Thanks for joining us on Labor Day weekend or Labor Day specifically. We were going to do this the day that the Votann Codex dropped or leaked, but I had my router die. Just died. Completely died. I have a new one now, obviously. So we're good. We've talked, there's been some more information, some other streams about this. So we have a little more in-depth knowledge of what's leaked now. We are also going to go over some of our proposed lists, how we would play them. Just, this is just a fun little hangout. So let's talk about Space Dwarves. Zach, how are you feeling about Space Dwarves?
I do hear a lot about how super overpowered this is. I'm not buying it. Honestly, I'm really not. Yes, judgment is fucking crazy. But until I actually get in a game and can see how this really works out over time, I'm not I'm not too upset about it. They have, going through this, I've noticed that they have a lot of things that are kind of counters to some of the meta stuff that's happening, like the -1 wound thing. If you go, you see -1 wounds all over the place now in the latest codex, where you take less damage. They actually have a weapon with their Thunderkin that can, if you're going against something with a high save, it does one more damage,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
just
like
so
a
cool.
normal grav gun. Like
Yeah,
all the normal like Space Marine grab cannons and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So I think they'll be pretty high tier initially.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if they're going to go crazy like, say, Harlequins did right away, or
The
like,
9 Void Reaver spam.
right. I just don't. I don't see it. The only thing I'm upset about really with this is the fact that we are not going to see. There's not a huge line of models because it's all brand new, and it's
Yeah.
understandable. I
It's
just
only
wish there was
12 data
more.
sheets.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
But some of
that
them
being said,
are
yeah,
pretty good. Hey
yeah,
Jacob, what's up? Hey Sindri, how you doing?
yeah. So that being all said, it makes it easy to build up an army. There's only a few groups of units to
Yeah.
buy, like models, so that's cool. It's not
And
like orcs where there's like a million models and 20 different ways to build up an army. So you just end up with 10,000 points of orcs sitting in your closet, but
well, I mean, you want
I'm
to
not paying
go
11,000.
let's go
Make a
through
bunch of
the codex real quick. I mean, I
yeah, let's
know
do it.
I know some folks haven't seen this yet. Um But here we are. Here's the whole leaked codex. We're gonna start at the top, I guess. I'm just gonna point out like the big things that like really matter. We're not gonna read this line by line, obviously. So this is the index. So the first things that we want to look at are if you take a battle forge Votann army, it's all all the normal um caveats there. So everything has to be Votann, no, other unit types, blah blah blah. So the thing is, you're going to originally get, of course, your league customs, and we'll get to those as well. And then, yeah, you get your warlord traits, your stratagems, all that jazz. Oh, where did it go? It's just anyway, so the big thing that we want to point out first is obviously they get void armor, and void armor is just like armor of contempt, where it reduces AP by 1. But the other thing that it does just passively is it turns off all rerolls for wounds and for damage. So if you have a las cannon, you hit this league, like a Sagittar transport, and you roll a 1 for damage. That's it. You cannot re-roll that. No abilities that allow you to do that allow you to, and you can't even use the CP strat for command reroll. That is just, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a super buff armor of a contempt. So how do you feel about that, Zach?
Well, I would say, that's almost a buff to other armies, because you always roll a one when you're rolling deep. Well, not always, but whenever you roll a one when you're doing damage, you're going to re-roll for one. So, once again, this is for the other people you're playing against. It helps them.
It helps everybody. Yeah.
It
D6
helps
damage
everybody.
feels bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, and you'll hear this a lot from me because the only army I ever play is orcs before this. This will be my next one, but coming from an army that never has any rerolls, meh.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
uh, also, I am extremely excited to have an army that does have this, armor of contempt. But the thing is there's only a couple units this becomes really awesome with. Everything else, you're getting Space Marine saves. I mean, because most of them have a 4-up save.
Yep.
So that just turns it to a 3-up.
Well, I mean, it'll just, yeah. I mean, if you're in light cover, you get a 3-up. But another thing that was pointed out to me is, so we all know that troops get objective secured. Like that's just pretty much like a universal game rule. But here it says Hearthkin Pioneers also gain objective secured. So that's the bikes. And this is important because one of the big downsides of this army, which we'll get into later, is that generally speaking, dwarves are not in a hurry. They're almost universally movement speed 5 across the board. If they are on their own legs, if they're infantry, it's movement 5. So the only real fast unit in this whole book are those pioneers, and for them to gain objective secured is actually pretty cool. I think that's an important thing to point out.
Well, I think it's also pretty necessary with, once again, not as many units that we have as options. So really the only options we have for standard objective secured are warriors and pioneers. I mean, that changes based off of, which league you choose and the customs in there. But
yeah. And there is a warlord trait, kind of like gosh, what's the, oh no, it's a Death Watch one, but it grants OBSEC to units that don't have it, and then it grants double OBSEC for units that do have it. So there are other ways to gain it, but just naturally, the only way to get OBSEC is to bring the warriors or to bring the pioneers. And the only fast OBSEC in the game for this army are the pioneers.
Yeah.
You want to get into the custom leagues? I mean, those are the passive bonuses you just get by being like Votann.
You mean custom leagues, or do you mean custom league customs, or custom leagues, or league customs? Because
the leagues and their customs. How about that? How about that?
Prove me off.
Right.
You got custom league customs. So,
so the first league is the Trans-Hyperion Alliance, and their passives are, if your unit is making an attack, and this is any hit roll, this is in melee or ranged, if you are below starting strength, so if your Hearthkin Warrior unit has 9 guys in it, they are effectively now ballistic skill and weapon skill 2. So all you have to be is under starting strength. So you're going to hit harder, be more accurate, and be more reliable with this. And then
finally
each time,
a reason to roll. Finally a reason to roll with, more than the minimum size unit.
Right. Well, it's if it's under starting strength from when it was put on the table.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. But I mean, so suddenly if you have a unit of 20, then you lose 1, and then those 19 have that bonus.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, they'll run away pretty quickly because dwarves don't have great leadership, but
and then anytime a model with this custom makes an attack, so this is in both melee and ranged, on an unmodified wound roll of 6, and there are ways that you can get automatic wounds, but the rules explicitly state that means it counts as an unmodified rolled 6. So the AP of that attack will increase by 1. this is important because another downside of this army, generally speaking, is all of their weapons, almost universally, have pretty poor AP. Like,
Yeah.
you're looking at, generally speaking, their guns are going to have -1, and you're going to see a couple at -2. There are some obvious standouts, like the magma rail guns and things like that. And they do have access to plasma, but they don't have access to plasma like Tau does, where they can have, you know, crisis suits that have multiple plasma guns, right? So AP is a hard thing for the Votann, so even though you're getting a lot of wounds through from the judgment tokens, it's not modifying their save a whole lot most of the time.
Yeah, I think
and
this is one of
then
those things. Oh, sorry. I think this is one of those things that people
what?
are saying is overpowered. Is that auto wound AP, you know, mix? But as you said, our AP isn't great that much, anyways. So
Well, I mean, you know, let's look at it. If you're gonna fire at Grey Knights, Grey Knight Terminators in cover, Armor of Contempt. Like, I'm getting a 2-up save if you're at AP2.
yeah,
There are some units that remove, you know, light cover, but even so, I'm gonna be rolling a 3-up, right? Like, that's a really reliable save. And there are very few guns or even weapons that in this whole codex that are like AP3 or up. And we'll get to those, but so the other thing here is their ancestral judgment is each time a model with this custom makes an attack against a target that has one or more judgment token on the enemy unit, you can reroll the wound roll of 1. So not only does not for this custom league, not only are you, or for Votann with judgments, not only are you just getting through a lot of auto wounds anyway, just by default, this is making it so that you're like those ones that you don't get through on the from judgments, you're getting more reliable wounds. But this won't work against other Votann. It won't work against salamanders. It won't work against our martyred lady, you know, Lake of Sisters. And then
right.
well, go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying yes, sir.
Oh. And then their warlord's trait is at the start of the first battle round, you can it's a redeploy, basically, which is not bad. Like, redeploys are really powerful. So you can be really cagey during your deployment. That said, I don't think this is one of the better leagues. But it is, you know, it's nice to be cagey. And then their strat is you get a 5-up to mortal wounds, and we'll talk about this too. So this army, another weakness of theirs, so they don't have high AP, they're not fast, and then the other big thing to me is they have no mortal wound defense at all. This is the only league, other than like a relic or two, so that'll be on a character, and that's about it, right? This is the only league that grants any mortal wound defense at all, and it's on a strat. So that means you can only use it once per psychic phase on one unit, and it grants them a 5-up. So not great, not awful. And then the relic adds 1 to the wound characteristics of this unit's Corv models, which I think the only unit that has Corv models in this game is the Grimnir.
Yeah, this is a specific to the Grimnir relic. As
it says it here even.
Typically, the Corv models, or not even typically, they have 1 wound normally. So this basically adds 2 more wounds to the overall unit itself. Yeah. But it also lets them deny more, and
it does.
Better.
Yeah, so they get 1 more deny. The Grimnir by default has 1, so this will give them 2, and then it also adds 1 to their deny tests. We're seeing a lot of psychic interrogation in the meta right now. You know, that's a That's a good 9 to 12 points in most matchups. So this could help you stop a bit of that. And then also, we're going to talk about like bad matchups, what we think are like bad matchups. And one of them is Thousand Suns. And this will help you maybe take a few less mortals. Because remember, normally you have no mortal wound defense in this entire book, except for this league with this strat. And that's it. So how do you feel about the Trans-Hyperion Alliance generally?
Generally, I'm not going to use them.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan.
yeah, I'm not either.
The only way I would use them is if I was specifically knowing I was going against a certain army and I had been beaten by that army so many times and I was pissed off and I wanted to have something to give me a leg up. Because generally, I'm not going to build my list against the army that I'm going against. I try to do a more generalized list, so I'm not a dick.
Right.
Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you lose enough, and then you get pissed off and start building. It just happens.
Yeah. All right. So the Greater Therian League is the next one. This is like the poster child of like the army. This is the one that's the like white and the teal color combo and stuff. So this is the Greater Therian League. I think this is one of the stronger leagues. So this one gets just double obsec right off the gate, which is great. And then they also get like a Tau Sept style reroll, or like a what was it? Master Artisans for Eldar. So each unit, every time they are selected to fight or shoot, can reroll either one hit roll or one wound roll. This is especially good for magma rail cannons. Because like you really want to be able to re-roll that hit roll, and hopefully you're firing it like something that has some judgment tokens on it, so it'll auto wound, right? And being able to re-roll could be really really helpful. And then their ancestral judgment is that anytime they make an attack against a target that already has one judgment token on it, it is considered, or at least one, it is considered as having one more, up to the maximum of 3, of course. So if it has one, so basically as soon as you throw out a judgment token with this league, that unit effectively has 2 on it. So this league will never auto wound on 6s. That'll be auto wounding on 5s at least.
That's pretty fucking strong right there.
Pretty good, yeah. Anything like any strong mechanic like the judgment tokens, being able to like make them stronger is obviously dope. Their warlord trait is also really really good, especially in the Nephilim stage of the meta. Anytime you spend a command point, you get to roll a d6 for each one that you spent. On a 5 up, you get 1 back. So it's like the Ultramarines warlord trait, add up to the Codex and stuff. You just get you get you potentially get your command points back, and that's not bad.
So on this specifically, this is me as a noob saying this, is there a limit to how many of these command points that you can get back in a given turn? Because there are other abilities that give you command points that we will look at later, specifically the psychic one.
Yeah.
That specifically says this goes past the limit of command points you can generate or get back.
Trans-Hyperion Orchestra. Love it. So if it doesn't say that it gets around the limit, then no, it doesn't. So if you use this, there is. So the general rules are you can, other than the CP that you get, at the start of each turn, you can only regen 1 CP per battle round. So if I use transhuman against your orcs and I roll and I get 1 of those 2 CP back or whatever, that's it. That's all I can regen for that turn. there is a psychic power in this book that specifically says it gets around that. So you could take this warlord trait and that psychic power, and you could be getting up to, 4 CP a turn, which is pretty good.
Pretty good. However, it does kind of limit the cost effectiveness of this pragmatic wisdom, because first off, it depends on how many stratagems you're using each round.
Of course.
At the very most, you're going to be at a positive 4 command points for this trait.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but then another positive 4 to 5 from the psychic power.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get 10 throughout the game. So, I mean, you're almost doubling your potential, assuming you always get one back, which isn't going to happen. But, like, potentially you could be getting 18 command points a turn. Or a game, not a turn. A turn, that would be absolutely fucking bonkers. Anyway, per game, which is, nearly double what you can typically, if you don't have any command point regen built into your list, you're only going to get 10. This can increase that to potentially 18 to 20, actually, which is pretty good. Would I build that way? I don't think so, personally. I think there's some better choices in here, but if you're, if you frivolously spend command points, this can help you at least suck that up, which is a problem that I had, or have, actually, as a player, is, like, always using my command points.
There go those turn 1 command point uses from your Death Watch. Jesus.
Yeah. All right, so this stratagem is specifically for the Greater Ethereum League call. The call is a type of datasheet. It's effectively a Space Marine captain. There will be a lot of us equating things in this book to Space Marines.
There's a reason for that.
They're basically little tiny slow Space Marines, and there's no way around that. So what this does is it allows that call to use or when they use their Grim Efficiency power, which we will get to in more detail when we talk about the call specifically. This just basically, instead of granting 1 judgment token to that unit when they see it, they're granting 2 to that unit. So it doesn't really mesh super well with their Ancestral Judgment.
I would disagree.
Except I guess that effectively means it has 3 on it, right?
Well, you don't have to do it to the closest one.
That's true.
You can mix it up, right? Oh, no, it's 2. You're granting 2. You're right.
Yeah.
So you're just basically picking a unit that you suddenly get the 3 up. You max it out right away.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's, I hate that knight right there. So now I'm going to auto wound it on force.
Yeah, at the first, like, if you go first, all right, let's just briefly talk about Grim Efficiency. It says that at the start of your command phase, you use this ability, you pick 1 enemy unit that is visible to the call, and then just the base ability, you grant 1 judgment token to that unit. This, you can spend 1 CP, you can make it 2, and then with Ancestral Judgment for this league, it's basically just, it's accounted as having 1 more anyway. So you're basically pointing at one target, and it immediately has effectively 3 judgment tokens on it. So your entire army now wounds that thing automatically on hit rolls of 4. Right away. It's pretty strong. Especially strong into, like, knight lists or, demon lists, if you're like, oh, Bellacore. Let's just yeah. And remember, large models can't be hidden. So, like, a big knight, it doesn't matter if it's behind obscuring terrain, you can still see it. And then their relic is, it grants a 4-up invul. And then each time an attack is allocated, the AP is reduced by a further 1, only to that unit, obviously. But this basically gives them Void Armor ++, so they're now ignoring AP 2. So if you shoot something this model with plasma, you are effectively going from AP4 to AP2. It's pretty good. But also, yeah, it specifically states here it is cumulative with the void armor bonus. Like, it calls that out. So, hey, Ken, what's going on, man?
It's Ken.
Yeah.
Ken Peters.
All
He
right.
needs a song, so this is it. Hey, Ken.
So how do we feel about the Greater Therian League, man?
Yeah, this is definitely one of the stronger ones.
Yeah.
The biggest part of the Votann is, or the biggest possibly overpowered part, is the judgment tokens, and this league specifically just bumps that up a level.
Yeah, it takes it to 11.
It takes it to 11.
This is what I mean, in my noobish opinion, this is hands down like the most competitive league in the book.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that there isn't play from some of these other ones. Like, the other ones are still good. They're just not, like, this is really good. It makes, like, the name of the game in a dice game is reliability, and that ancestral judgment mixed with that, like, command point stratagem, like with your call, that's every turn you can do that. So as the game drags on, you're basically putting 3 judgment tokens on, like, just unit after unit after unit. It's it's good. All right.
I'm tired of my dwarf head going in and out.
Yeah, that's fair.
So another thing about them is the only named character in the entire codex is part of that
is locked to them. Yeah. So Greater Therian League only. That's the named call, which we'll get to in a bit. Let's go with the Urani Searcher Regulates, which is in a bizarre name, but whatever. I love this one because it's just stupid. I mean, like, it's stupid fun, but their passive is the toughness of every single unit in the game, including the land fortress. Everything goes up by 1. This now means that every single model on the board has a minimum toughness of 5. Your little cheap, like, warrior troops are now T5. Your exosuit dudes are all T6. Your land fortress is now T9.
This is how you get to that list that you really want to play with Space Marines that just has a bunch of badass Terminators.
Yes, exactly.
Now, I mean, that or you go Dark Angel, right?
Well, unfortunately, like, Votann completely countered Dark Angels.
Yes, they do.
So, but yes, actually, Sindri brought up a great point. So, the T4 to T5 and the T8 to T9, those breakpoints, those extra points of toughness are huge, like, generally speaking, right? Because, like, bolters are all T4, or sorry, S4. So now you're going to make them be wounded on 5s. We're seeing a whole lot of power swords in the meta right now because of the high AP to bust through armor of contempt. But now, instead of wounding you on, or me on 3s, you're gonna wound me on 4s. So, like, it's just efficiency. It's making it harder to die. And then, like, going from T8 to T9 on the land fortress that's
Yeah.
huge.
Huge.
They also reroll failed morale tests. Okay. It's not awful.
So the Warriors have a morale of 7, so it might come at 8 with their Thane or whatever it is.
Yeah, their Thane. So, their ancestral judgment's pretty cool. If a unit on the board has no judgment tokens, it's assumed to have 1. Now, how this interacts with some of these other rules later gets really weird, because there are certain command point, or like certain stratagems and relics and weapons that do extra things if there are judgment tokens. And the way that they phrase it is at least 1 judgment token is on the unit, but then this says that they count as if they have a judgment token, which means in my purview that means that all of those those like strats and relics, those specials would count, because it says here it is considered to have one judgment token when determining what bonuses apply to the attacking model's attacks.
I mean, I think you are correct there. That
Yeah.
is exactly how that sounds to me. It's considered to have one when determining. Oh, maybe not, because it specifically says when determining what bonuses apply to the attacking model's attack.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess if it's something that you play on an attack, it would count. But outside of attacking,
Right.
I don't think that would count.
Yeah.
But
And that's,
we'll take a look at the stratagems, and we'll just, when we look at them, we'll just say,
yeah.
will this count?
And this is what I mean. Like, this already, we need, like, I don't know if we need an errata, but like, this is already a thing that could be a little gray area if you're in like a tournament, right? And you're like, no, I can do that. And it's like, well, it says you're supposed to have judgment tokens. It's like, well, my league allows me to consider you as having them even when you don't. So anyway.
That's funny you mentioned that, because I don't think I've been at a tournament where people actually know anything about the army I'm playing unless they also play that army.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we've mainly played in RTTs, so that's why.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
The Warlord trait, 5 up, feel no pain. Not bad. There are some combinations for some crazy tanky melee types, and this is just going to make them tankier. This would be really scary on the Einhard champion, who is now going to be T7 or something.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny because when we start looking at the lists, I really like that champion.
Yeah,
it's
I
probably
noticed.
who would work in me. Because yeah, we'll get there. Let's continue on.
Their command point stratagem, which is a little weird because this is not really, I didn't think of this as like the melee league, but they get a fight on death for any character. It's 1 CP, which is actually really nice because the one for Space Marines is 2 CP. So, you know, it's not nothing. And then their relic is actually pretty cool. So this is the unit grants an inability to be targeted unless they are the closest target, the closest eligible target. So this is like Lookout Sir ++. You just can't shoot them, which means you know, snipers like Vindicare, assassins, whatever, that ignore Lookout Sir cannot ignore this. Like,
right.
If you put your call behind 10 warriors out in the open, that Vindicare can't target him. They have to target something else. So it's a nice little piece of tech.
Yeah, I think you'll probably end up giving up if you take that, though. There's some other stuff in there that if you ended up taking that, you'd be giving up some other stuff that you might want instead.
Yeah.
Though.
One thing I'll point out, though, is that there are ways to give Thanes and unit commanders relics, and this does not specifically say characters. It's just a Urani Searcher Relegate, or Regulates model only. So there's some play there. All right, and if so, how do we feel about this one, Zach?
Well, I know this is how you're going to get that super tough list that you always want.
Yeah, I love this one.
I like it all right. The 0 judgment tokens, I think that I'm not sure what I feel about the ancestral judgment. I mean, it's nice that you get that thing, but over time, it's going to be worth less and less to you. It's really good, say turn 1, turn 2. It's also really good if you get second because you're starting second and they already have judgment tokens on them.
Yeah.
But
I don't. like I said, I don't think this is the equivalent of the greater Therian League. I think that is like the quintessential one that we're gonna see people play a lot. It just has the best bonuses. I just love this one. Like it changes the math so much when you're attacking. Unless you're like one of those crazy bloodthirsters with strength like 16. It will, which will actually change the math if you go into the land fortress, right? Like,
Because if you have 16, you're
yeah,
still
you're wounding on threes, not twos,
yeah.
right? So I like this. It's that tough play style I enjoy. I don't know why I don't play Death Guard, because like seriously, they're slow plotting. Yeah, this is basically like Death Guard.
Yeah.
You know. All right, and then we'll go to the next one. I think this is the one you like the most. No. Yours is the one after this, right?
I wouldn't say I like the one after this one the most. It's just the one that, if I was going for a melee army, I would go with.
It's most orky.
Yeah. I actually like the Ymir conglomerate quite a bit. Just because the strength in squats right now is pretty much shooty. And this makes it even stronger. Beam weapons are going to be even cooler here. Plus, you start getting invulns with your dudes on this one. So that's super nice.
Yeah, that is really nice. So your normal warriors only have a 4-up save. And you have to bring them. They're like the only troops in the whole book. So you're going to have 30 of these guys in every battalion list. So giving 30 OBSEC troops an invul a 5-up, which is only one worse, than their actual armor save, is pretty good. And then if they have a 2-up save, they automatically gain a 4-up invul. So your exosuits are going to have that 4-up invul, which is pretty good. And Titan's Advocate, I'm gonna remember this eventually. Is that Garrett? I think it's Garrett. I might have just alienated a viewer.
You should have had me do it, because then they're like, well, that guy's not expected to know who I am.
There you go. And there's Ocho. Right. There's Ocho too. Nice.
Yeah, Ocho's here too, yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. What's up, Garrett? What's up, Ocho? Wow. There's like people pouring in now.
Right.
So one of the other things that's a downside of the squats in general is their range sucks on a lot of their guns. Even the big scary like magma rail, which makes the Tau railgun look lame, it's only like a 32 or 36-inch range, and that's the biggest gun in the whole book. Most of the infantry guns are anywhere from 18 to 24 inches, and most of the vehicle guns are anywhere from 18 to 30 inches. So this is a real mid-range army. But what this does is it straight up adds 4 inches to every gun except relics. Yeah. So every ranged weapon is it just straight up says every ranged weapon, all ranged weapons. So your ion like beamers that the warriors can bring for free, those go from 18-inch range to 22. Really good. This is a and then that invul too, like you said, Zach, is like super good. So.
Huge. I mean, the warriors do start out with one unit that has a 4-up invul at all times, or until he dies. So if you're taking it against your Thane, he technically has 4. Well, I mean, not even technically. He has a 4-up invul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got bolters that are going to have a 28-inch range.
And the bolters, we should mention, the bolters that the dwarves have that they apparently have locked up, are like Dark Age. Like they're Hunter 2, which Hunter is a keyword that they added that effectively just means normal. Like you can't advance and shoot it, it's not assault, but you don't take -1 from like firing it after moving, it's not heavy, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically just like a normal weapon. I don't know why they made it Hunter, but whatever. So it is Hunter 2, so you're always getting your rapid fire effectively,
Mhm.
and they're -1 AP. So, like, they're already better than bolters. You're
You know,
always getting your bolter discipline because you never aren't firing twice.
right. Um, I didn't realize bolters only had one shot, but then again, I never
They're
played Space
they're
Marines.
they're rapid fire. Well, I mean, it depends on the like type,
Yeah.
but the bog standard one is rapid fire 1.
Okay.
So if you stand still, you get 2 shots. If you're within half range, you get 2 shots. This is just Hunter 2. Like, that's their basic bog standard Votann bolter. So very, very good. What's up, Jimothy? Man.
No, I'm just surprised we had no real like early warning that this is happening. So
It's because we have Votann in the name,
yeah,
and
probably.
like you and I aren't super like ridiculous. We're pretty funny. I like to think anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, I keep telling myself that, right? And
So
as long as I think I'm funny, I'm funny.
yes, Volt guns. Thank you. They're not bolt guns. They're Volt guns. That's
Oh, that's good.
fantastic. I'm gonna call that Ivar approved.
Do you have a little thing that comes up on the screen for that?
Yeah, I do.
Nice. I mean, I can't see it, but
yeah, it's a
all right.
so their ancestral judgment is pretty cool because it plays directly into one of their league customs. So if they're within half range, they get 1 more pip of AP, which is again a big deal because these guys have like no AP. You're gonna see a lot of AP1, AP2, and that's about it in the whole codex. So this brings their bolters, their bog standard volt guns, as we have now called them. The volt guns now have -2 AP if they're within half range, and their range is increased by 4 inches.
Yeah.
So you include that
in the half, yeah.
Yeah, in the half. So this is neat. I like this design because it's playing directly into what they're buffing about them anyway. And then this is also pretty interesting. So the Warlord trait, this is one of the things like I've been playing around with lists that bring 2 calls. This is a Warlord trait you would put on the like other call, right? So the damage characteristics of all weapons that this Warlord has, excluding relics, which we'll get to later, why they put that in there, is increased by 1. Just all of all weapons, not all melee weapons, not all ranged weapons, all weapons are increased by 1. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, is there one of those guys that, like the Brohar Iron Master, something like that, where they have multiple units, and each of those guys in that unit have a weapon of their own. Do they also get that with that because it's part of the Warlord unit?
Yeah, I don't know. I would think so, honestly. With that phrasing, it seems a little weird, but it's like I mean, we could probably look up some errata surrounding like Black Templars and see how they play with those because they have numerous Warlord like HQ units that have like multiple models in their unit.
Yeah.
So like, what is it? Is it
yeah, that dude that's got the 3 people with him?
Yeah, he's got like his 3 little guys that are carrying books in the middle of a battle for him.
Thank you assassination. God,
yes.
I was like, oh, you brought him. Oh, I'm maxing out assassinate.
Yeah, exactly.
We fixed that.
I'm somebody in chat will like let us know. I think his name is Grimaldus or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, Grimaldus sounds right.
Yeah. What's up, Chang? How you doing, man?
So plasma beam discharge.
Yeah, which there's a joke there. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when blah blah blah. Pick 1 beam weapon it is equipped with, and until the end of the phase, each time a hit is scored, the damage or the target takes a mortal wound in addition to the normal damage. So until the end of the phase, each time a hit is scored with this weapon. Now you have to pick 1 of the beam weapons in a unit. Like you can't take a 10-man of warriors that all have the ion gun and then do this, right? Like
Well,
you,
two of them would have it, right?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
like,
actually doing the
yeah,
20 man. But yeah,
yeah.
no, that is so cool. I really like the idea. That's one of the reasons I like Ymir is because the beam weapons. It seems like a nice way to get to those characters that you can't wound normally, and you just target the unit behind them. Oh wait, no, the beam weapons also say that they have to be eligible targets. Never mind.
The beam weapons also, the way that that works, that like wording actually is that it's an automatic wound. It's not a hit, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. So like
it
this
just goes
wouldn't
through.
count because they didn't technically get hit. They just got wounded. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
but I do like this one. And then they have their relic, the conglomerate shield crest unit only or model only, which is I can't read half of that, but
Okay.
maybe
Yeah,
you can.
it's a really potato quality PDF.
Hey, my
So
really
this is
sucks. And
so this is basically if you play Grey Knights or you followed this channel very much, this is the Sigil of Exigence upgrade where for well, it only lasts a phase, not a turn, but it grants one model a 3-up invul for one phase. And then on a mortal wound, they get a 4-up to mortal wounds all the time. Um, but it's only one unit. It's a shield crest model, which is a specific either an upgrade and a keyword that comes with it, or a choice that you make. And the shield crest is usually only on the Thane. So you're basically only putting it on a squad leader. So I don't think,
not worth it.
yeah, I don't really think this is worth a CP in your list build. Maybe I'm not seeing something. There might be some like synergy that I'm missing, but
Yeah, well, I mean, most of the units that are also or that have the shield crest. In fact, I think all of them that have the shield crest keyword get a 4-up invuln with their shield crest. I mean, the same process,
yeah.
choosing that crest gives you a 4-up invul. So, I mean, sure, 4-up feel no pain on mortal wounds. I mean, maybe you could throw that up on your Grimnir if you're worried about wounding yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, when he takes perils, he just blows up a cog anyway.
True.
So like you're not even really worried about like it's uh and he has two cogs, so you can take perils twice and then just
Yeah.
lose a cog. So yeah, I don't know. I think the relic's a dud, but the rest of this seems very, very good. I want to point out that on the stratagem, and I don't see how you could get a whole bunch, but there's no limit to the amount of mortal wounds that can like potentially do. I don't think any of the beam weapons have a ton of shots anyways, so it's not really a big deal, but we've been seeing a lot of these stratagems that let you do this kind of like mortal wound. It's capped usually at 6. Just something I wanted to like point out. So how do you feel about this, my friend?
Well, I mean, as I said before, I'm pretty excited about this one. This would probably be what I'm actually running. Would
Yeah.
be these guys here. A probably heavier vehicle list
Mm-hmm.
with this. I think I would like to run two of the what are
The
the
land
big
fortress.
the land fortresses, two land
Yeah.
fortresses, maybe a couple Sagittars, and then some Thunderkin. Like I would just go full on, you know. Let's make this a shooty list.
Yeah.
Throw up some Hearthguard in the front just to kind of block and go from there. But Hearthguard don't have a beam weapon, but the Thunderkin
Oh,
do. They have
I
the
thought they did have a beam weapon. What's their like super short range 18-inch gun that you can give the whole squad? Is that just
the
called Ion?
Disintegrator.
It's not a beam weapon though?
No, it's not a beam weapon. It's
Ah,
the
okay.
Disintegrator that
Got it.
does mortals on a hit roll of 6.
Got it. Yeah, honestly, when I first read this one, I didn't think about it very much. Now that we've discussed it, I think this one seems really, really fun. Like
Yeah.
leaning into your shooting, making your guns better, and then making your AP better helps offset, that one of the weaknesses of this army. So,
Yeah, and I'm
all right.
looking through the beam weapons. I don't see anything that had. I think there was one that might had three, but for the most part, they're all
Yeah,
two attacks with the
all
beam
right.
weapon.
Yeah, and then so you're gonna do 3 mortal wounds. Like I don't know. I don't
Well, I
even know.
mean,
Yeah,
you
if you
place it
hit, of
right,
course.
you
But
place it right, and you could be doing shit tons of mortal wounds.
yeah, I see. This is confusing though, just because of the way this is
Oh, because
phrased.
you
It
were saying
says,
because a hit is scored with that weapon.
yeah, until a hit is scored with the weapon. So, can you guys see my annotation? Boo! It doesn't work. Oh well.
I'm seeing it.
Yeah, but they can't. It's all good. Um. Anyway, trying to update the stream quality here. All right, so the Cronus Hegemony, these guys are the melee guys. The problem is the base melee profiles of nearly every datasheet in this book is pretty meh. I'm not like they aren't terrible, but it's
No,
not good. And there's no standout melee units other than one HQ. There are no standout melee units in this whole codex. Unlike, say, like even Admech, which is known as like a shooty army, they still have Rust Stalkers, which are incredible. Those are an amazing melee unit. The Votann don't
Hearthguard
have
aren't bad.
anything like that. What?
Hearthguard aren't bad in melee. I mean, you can equip them with the concussion gauntlets as standard. It's a 2 damage. They don't have a lot of attacks. I mean,
Yeah.
it's 2.
Well, this one helps fix some of that attack problem.
Yeah,
So one of their passives is they get um, shock assault, except it also adds 1 to the strength, right?
right.
Yes. Yeah. So they get 1 more attack and 1 more strength to that attack if they are charged, heroically intervene, or charge. And there's an important note about that heroic intervention part is that all infantry and bikers in the entire book can heroically intervene for 1 CP.
Yep.
So that's not
Not
um,
nothing.
it's not nothing. So, and then anytime that they melee any unit with 2 or more judgment tokens, which we've already gone over some ways to like stack them up pretty quick, the AP of the melee is increased by 1. So this is helping boost them up from their middling like melee profiles to being decent. There are I will point out that there are very few times strength melee weapons I saw in the book. There are a
Yeah, I
lot of
mean, it's
plus
like the
strength.
concussion hammer,
Yeah.
the concussion mauls, which the berserks get. Um,
You
yeah,
mean the
that's about it.
Berserks.
Yeah, the berserks.
The
Sorry.
Berserks. Yeah. Buzz buzz. The magma railgun is pretty nuts when you start stacking tokens. Yes, it is. We will. The land fortress is at the end of the book, so we'll be getting there eventually. But yes, it's pretty good. I didn't realize part of the magma rail. Well, let's just talk about it now. Whatever. So part of the
Sure, why
magma
not?
rail keyword. Let me see if I can actually find it in the book. Oh man. I don't want to waste too much time trying to actually find it, but part of the magma rail keyword is that damage is like a flail in combat. Like the damage keeps going through the whole unit. So if you fire it into a brick of 5 Terminators and you do 9 damage, you kill 3 Terminators. Like it doesn't
Uh,
stop after it kills 1. It just keeps going.
well, but that only happens if you score a 6 on the wound roll, which if you have an auto hit that goes through auto wounds, that's a 6 on the wound roll.
Right.
Then you have, what is it like? It's an insane amount of damage, like 2d6 or
It's
2d3
it's
plus
2D
6.
it's 2d3 plus 6. So
Yeah.
it's a minimum of 8 damage. minimum.
And and they can't take invulns.
Yep.
And it's AP4.
So unless you're a Terminator, you don't even get a save. Or a demon, I guess. I guess demons will get a save. But yeah, it's pretty nar. But we can get into that a little bit more later. It's
Man,
also a
so
very
much...
short range weapon though. Like, I gotta point that out again, is like the Votann are pretty short range, generally speaking. It's no like 72-inch, gun.
36 inches.
And that gun, unlike the Hammerhead, is not on a platform that can fly. So you can't do things like put it on top of a building and then just go to town on anything on the whole board, right? Like, you do have to actually move that giant model to where it can see. But yes, it's pretty good. All right, so you get increased attacks, strength, and AP in melee. Not bad. Their warlord trait is exemplary hero. Each time it fights, if it is within engagement range of any monsters or characters, you add another attack. And what's really funny about that wording is it's engagement range of, but it doesn't have to be their target. So if you're in engagement range of an enemy character and then you really want to wipe out like some other horrible melee threat, you can actually just use that extra attack and target the other thing. You reroll the hit roll for every melee roll, which is great. And then each time this warlord makes a melee attack against an enemy character or monster, you add 1 to the wound roll. So this is kind of like the Space Wolves warlord trait, but it's a little better because of course it is.
And then you have the exploding sixes stratagem, which always nice. You can see why I like this. This is a very orky league custom, right? Or league. And their relic's really nice as well. I don't know if we want to read that. We'll read off the battle tactic. Bloody Expectations. You use that to in the fight phase and till the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes melee attack, sixes explode.
It's like the Whirlwind of Rage Space Marines chapter tactic. Yeah. I will point out, and this is interesting, so it's 1 CP, it doesn't have a model like limit, and it doesn't have an increase if it's a lot of models, so theoretically you can go ahead and take your 20-man Hearthkin warrior unit, charge them in, give them all the like power swords for the extra attack. They get another one from charging.
They get no melee weapons, man. Only
I thought they got. Oh, I thought you could upgrade them to. Oh, okay. My mistake. My mistake.
But yeah. I was like, oh.
I thought it said they could all have one, but you had to like pay 5 points per model, which is doubling their price. But anyway, yes, there is. So what is cool here is, let's say your exosuits, you give them concussion hammers. There is another stratagem in the game to reroll hits in melee. I think it's all hits. I don't think it's only ones. I think it's like Fury of the First, so they get +1 to hit. And then you can reroll ones from your call. You get exploding sixes. You get extra AP. You could really turn those guys into a blender if you wanted to. And then the relic is a relic melee weapon. It's a plasma axe or dark star axe, and then it will change it to +1 strength, -4 AP, 2 damage, and it ignores invuls.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The Makari killer.
Not bad. So this is the melee. This is my least I think. Well, no, I think the first one is probably my least um favorite. This one is second least favorite, if that is a classification that even fucking
Yeah,
matters.
I I, I like them, but I don't think they're going to be great. I think they'll be fun,
Yeah.
but they're not going to be great.
So, Jimothy, I will just remind you with the Xenophase Blade, um, those are 10 points. They ignore invulns naturally. Uh, and you could stick them on like sergeants and stuff if you want. No one does because they're 10 points. But this is basically just a Xenophase Blade on like a captain that you then mastercraft to make it 2 damage. So it's the same profile as a mastercrafted Xenophase Blade. But yeah, I mean, 1 damage melee weapons feel pretty bad. So yeah, especially for 10 points. All right, and then here's where you can make some custom leagues. I'm gonna switch over to my notes here. I made my own little potential custom league here. So this is like a Cronus style, like melee play. So one of them is called Close Quarters Prioritization, and it is just +2 to charge any enemy unit that has at least 1 judgment token on it. +2 to charge means 7-inch deep strike charges. +2 to charge is good. That changes the math on like a deep strike charge with a reroll to something like 70% to actually get in. Pretty good. Then if you are charged, you do charge, or you heroically intervene, you get +1 to strength. And then also, if you're below starting strength, you get +1 to your attack rolls. That is ranged and melee. So this was a like custom one that I made that was more like melee focused. There aren't actually, unfortunately, there are not a lot of
There's,
options in here.
no, there's not a lot of options with the custom league
Yeah,
customs.
and then one of the things is some of them are called ancestral judgment because it's adding an ancestral judgment to your league, but you can only take one of those, and they're of course the best ones.
Yeah.
And then there's ones like Stoic, which is you can reroll failed morale tests, and it's just like, wow, nobody's going to ever pick that.
Yeah, so I mean,
Ever.
really, if you're doing a custom league, there's only 3 custom league customs that you're really probably going to take, which are going to be not the non-ancestral ones, at least, which is clone skins. It's honor and toil, which is the +1, the one you mentioned, and then war songs. Um,
Yeah, each
but
time a
really,
league model makes a melee attack, if the target of that attack is within range of 2 or more league core units, you can reroll the hit roll, which is a little
situational.
yeah. There's a lot of gating, like ifs in there,
Yeah,
So
very situational. So, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be doing a custom league with custom league customs. Um,
custom league customs. Yeah,
but
it's not great. I don't think we'll see any custom leagues really, other than maybe like Crusade or whatever. I don't
yeah,
really
I mean,
see. I mean, when you compare it to like
yeah,
Ymir and the Greater Therian League, the Greater Therian League is so good.
it
Like,
is
yeah,
very good.
like double
Um, be-
obsec, reroll 1 hit or wound roll for every unit, um, and then 1 more judgment token. Like, it's just, and that's just, you're not paying for any of that. That's just you pick that
no,
league and
that's
you get
just
all of it.
it.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, I was concerned initially when I saw that there was going to be it before I read it. I was like, oh, well, this is where all the real cheese is going to come from, is these custom leagues.
yeah,
Nope. No, they made it so you can't really cheese that. They've learned their lesson.
from Space Marines, where it's the only ones anybody ever takes is they take Whirlwind of Rage, and then I can't remember what the other one is, Peerless Warriors or whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah, or
It's always the same two.
Ildari and their custom whatever they are that went a little crazy.
Oh, Hail of
the Hail of Blades or whatever it is.
Storm or whatever. All right, the Votannic Council. So these are your three main HQs. You can upgrade them with these abilities that cost points.
Hail of Doom, thanks, Timothy.
Hail of Doom, thank you. Yes, we knew what we meant. The shuriken cannons exploding and just causing you, like drowning you in -3 AP saves. Anyway, so the first one is so normally you can only bring one call in a list at all, unless specifically you spend the 40 points and upgrade it to a high call, which might be a high call. We'll see. But and then you can bring another call. So it's kind of like you're changing it from a captain to a chapter master by paying 40 points. And that's worth it because you get every bonus here on the right as well. And you get access to another warlord trait. Obviously, you don't get the warlord trait for points because that would be bonkers. But it opens up the ability to take another trait. The biggest one here is you get the chapter master reroll, so you still get your reroll one's aura. You point at one target. They one friendly unit. They will reroll all hits. You all know how that works. And then it specifically states here that it can include both a high call and a call. So that's how you bring two calls. And then he gains an ancestral judgment ability called Efficient Exemplar. Each time he destroys an enemy unit, if it had one or more judgment tokens, you can basically move it to another unit.
I don't know how much I will be destroying other units with my high call.
Yeah.
Honestly, when it's a unit you want to sit back and give out those buffs, but you never know. So there's a bunch of these expanded ones here. Mm-hmm. Maybe we just go through the actual units and then come back up here because then you can get a better idea.
That's true. But I've already started down this rabbit hole, so I'm going to point out one thing. It does give you access to this really cool warlord trait. I think this is a fantastic warlord trait. In your command phase, your high call gets to do his grim efficiency twice.
Yeah, now that actually goes really, really, really well with the who was it? The Therian League, where you get the grim efficiency. You can spend once if you make one of those two. So he's handing out 3 judgment tokens right away. Like here,
onto 2 different units. Yeah. It does say it has to be 2 different units. It can't target the same one. But if you're greater Therian League, you can spend 1 CP, hand out 2 with your first use of Grim efficiency, which of course for the Therian League effectively acts as 3 because you're always more angry. And then your second one, you give them 1, but because you're greater Therian League, it's effectively counting as 2. So on turn 1, if you go first, one of the first things you can do is throw out 5, more or less, like mechanically, you can throw out 5 judgment tokens onto 2 different units, which is crazy. Thanks for swinging by, Sindri. And yes, I agree that stacking judgment tokens will definitely be key. I also do remember when giant blocks of rangers auto wounding on 4s was absolutely bonkers. this like I think we are all aware of how strong the Votann can potentially be.
Yeah, but this is something you build up to rather than it just
Yeah,
is.
it just happens. Well, but that's what I'm saying is that at the moment right now, we've already discovered a way to get 3 right off the bat without even,
Yeah,
by spending 1 CP basically. Like that's
yeah.
pretty good. All right.
And it won't
So
go away.
so
Judgment
we're
tokens
gonna
never
do
disappear.
hmm? What's that?
Well, the other piece about the judgment tokens is, and I think this is the overpowered part, is they don't get spent. They just
Yeah, they
sit there
don't
for
go
the rest of
away.
the game.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take your advice though. I'm gonna come back to these when we go to these data sheets. But basically, it's kind of like doing a Master of the Forge upgrade or doing a Chief Librarian upgrade. It costs some points and you get to do some other stuff. But we'll get back to the specifics when we get to those data sheets. The Warlord traits. I don't want to go through all of these one by one. Are there any that stood out to you as
Um,
oh my
I
god,
mean,
this is almost must take?
if you're going down the melee thing, reroll and wound rolls is never bad. Um,
No.
and the ignore can't enemy model can't use rules to ignore wounds is pretty cool. So I think I ended up putting that in on my super duper list, super duper melee man list.
Which we'll get to. Super duper
Yes,
melee man.
super duper melee man. But the rest of them, it's nothing huge on there that I think expands much, but I could be wrong. We'll see.
Um, there are a couple I want to just point out real quick. Guild affiliate here, number 4 is kind of like there's a Death Watch Warlord trait that does this same thing. You grant objective secured to 1 unit, and then if it is already objective secured, it doubles it. This would stack with the greater Therian League's passive, where they are already double obsec. So if you really need 80 models on one, you can put a 20-man Hearthkin unit on one objective that now counts as 40, and you can double it again to 80. Absolutely fucking bonkers, and you'd never do that. But it's potentially something you could do.
Well, it's just a model; it's not a unit. So,
oh, it is. No, it's a core unit. You select one core unit within 6 inches of
oh yeah, okay, I see. I was just
of this warlord.
Yeah, you're right. 80. Suck it.
Unrelenting Toil is also, I think it's worth a mention. It's kind of like optimized priority, again from the Death Watch book, where you point at 1 unit and they can still shoot and perform an action. It has to be a core unit, but if I remember right, the only thing that isn't core in this book are the HQs and the vehicles. Everything else is core, including the Pioneers, the bikes. So almost everything in the book is core. And that's really it. I don't think there's a ton of these that are really stand out.
That could be cool if you had a warlord that actually had ranged weapons that would make a big difference. But most of those ranged weapons, their ranges aren't great, and they're
well, you point at a core unit, so you can't target an HQ anyway. But what this would allow you to do is if you have your Hearth, your Einhard, your Exo guys.
Sorry, I was talking about a different one. I was talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So number 3 is where you give it to a warlord. I like anything that ignores Lookout, sir, but there's nothing that has a really great ranged profile on any of the warlords, or any of the champions or HQ units, characters. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, there's no if you could equip character with like one of the little handheld magma railguns from the Hearthkin squad,
Oh yeah.
then this might be really good because you could just start sniping characters off the like table, but that's not an option for obvious reasons. Because
There is
yeah, what I just said would be untenable and not fun to play against. um yeah, and then the other thing too, like you said, like you'd have to have a weapon worth doing this to. Like ignoring light cover is nice, but it's only the warlord's attacks. And I think the best gun they get in the for the HQs is effectively like a combi bolter. So you're not really getting a lot out of this.
no, you're really not. I haven't gone through all the relics yet, but I'm not seeing anything that's a relic with a ranged attack that other than like a pistol or not a pistol, a graviton rifle replacement. So
The only
yeah,
reason I would take this is that last point there, which is at the end of each phase, if an enemy unit with judgment tokens was destroyed during that phase by your army, you get to put a token on another unit.
Yeah, that's absolutely cool. Like just moving those judgment tokens around.
Yeah, and it doesn't say that it gains like from 0 to 1. It just gains 1.
Yep.
So if you've got a unit with 2 and you kill it, you can move, or you can grab one of those and stick it on another unit up to 3. So that's pretty good because you're going to be rolling your like support characters up with your main army anyway. But the first 2 bullet points are not. They don't matter. They're not that great. Okay, here's the Skeen Rot discipline. So this is their psychic discipline, obviously. These
I
are
really don't like the name of their psychics. Skeen Rot. I just don't like something about it just hits me wrong. I can't even say. There's not even a joke there. Maybe that's it. I feel like there should be a joke there, and there's not.
well, you sound like you're rot.
Oh wow!
Forskine, there you go. Look
There
at that,
the
Mr. Jam with the joke. All right,
Thank you, sir.
So this, the Grimnir is the only psyker in the whole codex. This psychic tree starts out with a banger. Interface Echo, warp charge value of 5, gain a CP. It specifically says that it does not apply to the command point limit to how many you can gain.
Is there a limit to how many Grimnirs you can have?
Well, you can only cast a psychic power that isn't smite once per psychic phase anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So you couldn't bring like 3. Right. Yeah. As a Grey Knight player, I got to know the psychic phase pretty well. So you can't bring two Grimnir and just gain CP over and over.
Yeah, Mr. Jam, as we had said, there is a warlord trait that refunds you on a 5-up for any stratagems you run. So that's about it.
So we did say that if you got really lucky with that warlord trait and you bring a Grimnir to gain 1 back, you could potentially go from 10 CP a game to 20. That would be pretty rare, but theoretically possible. So this is great. CP are so rare and so precious now that this is an auto include to me. It'd be like playing Tau. It would be like playing Tau and bringing your little like chaplain dude, your ethereal, and not bringing the litany that gives them a command point, right? Like you do it because it's too good to just leave command points on the table. The next power, Fortify, also incredible. Adds +1 toughness to a League core or character model. So you can't put this on the land fortress in that one league that gives them +1 toughness. You can't make a T10 land fortress, but you can make your Hearthkin Warriors T6 in that league. You can make your Exo Suit guys T7. There's some interesting
And
play here.
not only that, it's not just 1 toughness, it's also a 6-up feel no pain, and those count.
Yes.
Those matter.
So this is another way you can get a little bit of passive like mortal wounds protection by throwing up this power on 1 unit. A 6-up, obviously not reliable. You're only gonna save 16% of the wounds that go through, but hey, that's 16% that you weren't gonna save before you cast the power, so pretty good.
So you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance, yeah. The rest of these are a little, well, the Witchfire ones are a little weird. There's especially this one here called Grudge Pyre. This one's bizarre. I would never take this, but I will read it out.
So awesome at first until you read the not a, and then you're like, I will never use this.
Yeah. So warp charge value of 4, so super low. easy to cast. If manifested, you select 1 enemy unit that is not a vehicle, monster, or character. So already you're just attacking basically bikers and infantry, and that's, I guess, beasts. Not very much. You then roll 2d6. You add the number of judgment tokens. If you beat their leadership, unmodified, it says, by the way, 1 model selected by your opponent in that unit is destroyed.
I mean, so I can think of 1 army this would be all right against with 1 unit. Like, this would be great for getting rid of mega knobs.
Beast and Nurgle.
Oh, okay, Beast and Nurgle.
Like,
maybe.
this would actually be really good against Beasts of Nurgle, but then you're choosing a power. And, like, I love my Nurgle demons. They're not the strong ones in that codex. So,
right.
Like, you're not going to run into a lot of Beasts of Nurgle at, like, an RTT or a GT. So bringing this to kill Beasts of Nurgle or Mega Knob seems like a bad tech choice.
Yeah. A Mega Knob. That's the other piece. You only killed 1 unit, so you're only getting that the 3 wounds max out of that, and you have to double roll. I mean, the 4 is super easy, but then you're rolling again, and you still have a 50% chance of failing that, even if the unit has horrible leadership.
Yeah.
Although you could slaughter a Grot with this. Like,
so, actually, I just realized, like, reading this, it says roll 2d6, okay? And add the number of judgment tokens. So that's like a +3 to cast, let's say, okay?
Tops.
Then it says that on an they're unmodified leadership. Okay, never mind. Yeah. I did read that right. Okay. I was thinking that they meant the roll had to be unmodified. I'm like, but you modify the roll in the description.
No. Yeah. So Grudge Pyre is on my grudge list. It's in the book.
Yeah, I agree. It's not. It's like, and if you cast this against like intercessors, who cares? You killed 1 20-point intercessor. Like no one gives a shit. Null Vortex. This is just null zone. As far as except it's targeted, so it's not an aura. You target 1 unit, it turns off their invuls. I will point out that no, this won't work against demons because those aren't invuls; those are demon saves. Then there's
pull that occasionally.
What's that?
In the case where I have 3, I would probably pick that one up.
Yeah, so that's actually a fantastic point. The Grimnir knows 2, casts 1, denies 1. That's its like natural state. There are ways to give it extra casts and stuff. So you're not going to cast 3. As far as I can tell, there's no way to get to 3 casts. Unless you bring more than one Grimnir.
2.
Oh, he does. Okay. So then there is a relic you can give him later, I think, that lets him cast 3. So
well, actually, Lord Grimnir cast 3, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So that's it. All right. Anyway, like honestly, I'm gonna take Fortify. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Interface,
Interface
Echo.
Echo.
Those are my 2 already. And then your third choice, like Null Vortex is pretty good because there are some pretty tanky units out there, like Death Shroud Terminators that have a very low invul save, or if I have to fight a Grandmaster Dread Knight with its stupid 3-up invul, you can turn that off. But of course, you're now casting into a +1 deny army, so good luck. But like, there are some things you can do. I don't think the Maledictions or the Witchfires are very good. I think Grudge Pyre is very bad. And then there, let's just read Crushing Contempt here real quick. So warp charge value of 6. Select one enemy unit within 18 inches. It does not say that's visible, so you can be hiding and still cast this. You roll 3d6. If it's greater than or equal to the leadership characteristics, they cannot perform actions. That's actually pretty good. And it immediately fails if they are currently performing one. And
yeah,
then
that's great, actually.
And then if it's greater than their leadership characteristic, they subtract 1 from their hit roll.
I mean, tactically, that's pretty good. I mean,
so for a third choice, I think that's not bad. Forcing actions to...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say forcing actions to fail in Nephilim is really important. There are a lot of missions now that have actions. And that's, that's also including, or not including like secondaries that a lot of armies have now where they have to perform an action. You can just turn it off. That's pretty cool. All right, relics. So again, I don't really want to go over every single relic. We'll be here for a while. I want to point out some of the good ones. This Aktol's Fortress is Fight Last. Fight Last is always good. Fight Last is never not good. If you can get Fight Last, especially if you're one of those melee-focused style armies, you should get Fight Last. So that one's really good. Let me destroy his bear, roll 1d6. Do you know much about this Ancestral Crest? Once per battle, if the bear is also selected to use an Epic Deed stratagem, it is now 0 command points. That's once per battle. So not great.
Yeah, so you're spending a CP to save 1 CP.
Yeah, that's actually... I mean, you could potentially save 2 CP, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's the other pieces that might be there. Like, you can automatically make one time, you can make one roll a 6, which there are times where I wish I could do that. There are armies that do that all the goddamn time. And we're going to talk about how Votann is overpowered. But never mind. And then what's that bottom one there?
If an enemy unit kills the bearer, then they can potentially take some mortal wounds. Like,
okay, so it makes them explode.
Yeah, I don't think it's good. This hammer, though.
Oh, got that hammer.
This hammer is insane. So, so this relic upgrades a mass hammer. So you put this on your Einhart champion. It's now strength ×2, -3 AP, D3 +3 damage, which is super, super good. But the ability here is what makes it nuts. So each time an attack is made with this weapon, on an unmodified hit roll of 6, the target takes instead D3 +3 mortal wounds, and the attack sequence ends. So you charge into a bunch of bloodletters or intercessors or whatever, even though you don't have a whole lot of attacks, because that's another thing that this army just doesn't have, is their like base melee profile does not have a lot of attacks on the data sheets. This is a way that you can actually use this guy to like clear out large groups of models.
Yeah,
By
or just
the mortal wound
destroy
spillover.
a character. I mean, if you mix this with the Warlord trait that you can get for the Chronos dudes, like you're getting 5 attacks, 6 attacks, I think, with the Einhard. Yeah, 6 attacks with the Einhard champion. And the other key piece about this exactor that you don't see when you just look at it is normally the mass hammer, which does the same amount of damage, is a -1 to hit. This doesn't have the -1 to hit.
Yes, that is true. There are a lot of the Votann melee weapons are apparently perfectly balanced, as all things are, or all things should be. And a lot of them, like their power fist analog and their hammer analog, don't. I mean, there are a few that do, but for the most part, they don't have a -1 to hit.
Oh, the mass hammer does, as do the concussion mauls.
But
There's
the
actually quite a bit when we go
those
down there.
like mass fists, or I don't remember what they're
No, the
called.
mass fists don't,
Yeah,
but the mass or the mauls and the hammers, pretty much anything that does more than or does 3 or more wounds has a -1 to hit.
gotcha. Okay. Um, all right,
Yeah, even the
then
gauntlets. Yeah.
I don't think there aren't a whole lot of other ones that are very good, I think. Because you're just, if this was pre Nephilim and you weren't spending so much CP on this stuff, it might be, some of these might be like worth it, but a lot of them
Yeah.
aren't.
I,
Um,
but I mean, there are the options to really generate some more CP out of normal. So maybe you do end up going into more battles like turn 1 with 0 CP.
yeah,
Um,
that's true. This plate thing here, it adds 1 to the armor saves of the bearer and 1 to the wounds of the bearer, but it can't be put on exo armor, so this is garbage. uh, I, it's not good. I don't know. There's this little like weapon here which might stack okay with the warlord trait to ignore lookout sir, because it's 3 shots and up to 3 damage if they have a save characteristic of 3 or better. So that might be okay. But the murmuring stave here, well, what's up?
I was going to say I don't know of. I'm going through the characters here with the graviton rifle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see one that has a graviton rifle. Ah, that the Iron Master can have the graviton.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah. Hmm. Little bizarre. Okay. Um. So the murmuring stave, we have mentioned that the Grimnir can get a relic that makes him a better caster. This is it. He knows one more power, and then what's also neat is that he can cast 1 power and still do a psychic action, which means you can bring him to do like mental interrogation to get you points, and then you can still get off like fortify or get off your extra like command point ability. So there's some play here. I think this is nice. Like one of the things that drives me crazy about playing Grey Knights is a psychic action eats up my entire psychic like phase for that unit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is nice that
It's crazy though with that, and if you were the upgraded Grimnir, that means you know 4 psychic powers.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
I mean, you still only cast 2, but
yeah,
like,
you only cast 2, but I mean, it gives you. If only there were 4 psychic powers I wanted to that I really liked. There's only 3.
and this one's fun. I don't. This is for your Einhard champion. The problem is it's a relic, and on the Einhard champion, you're gonna want to give him that hammer, not this.
Yeah.
But once per battle round, when they fail a save, you can just change the damage to 0. So if Scarbrand comes in with that axe, and does 6 damage or whatever, you can just be like, nah, I'm not gonna take any of that. And then not only that, but every time that you use that to reduce it to no damage, you roll 1d6 on a 5+. You get to give that unit a judgment token.
Hey, and I don't like you. You got some bad BO. I've decided we're gonna take you out.
So it's neat, but the problem is with the Einhard champion, it's locked to that model, and you're gonna give that dude that hammer. You're gonna give him as Mr. Chan pointed out, you're gonna give him the chapter master rerolls.
Yes,
he's gonna charge in there with 6 attacks. You're gonna reroll every hit to try to fish for 6s. And you're gonna just blap something off the board with mortal wounds. Right? You're not gonna take this defensive relic. He's like, all right. There's
you take 2 of those champions. One of them's you got the fighty, and then you got the one that's tough as all hell. So maybe there's an option there.
Okay. That might be interesting. I don't know. I just think the idea of like
Rick
fishing.
No.
No.
He's trying to be nice.
No. I'm just thinking like I was stuck in my mind of like re-rolling all of the hit rolls trying to fish for 6s. And like the look on your opponent's face with even if only 2 of them hit on a 6, you're gonna do D3 plus 3 mortal wounds twice. You're gonna do 2d3 plus 6 mortal wounds. Like, there's not a lot in the game that stands up to that. Not a lot. The gray crest here is one I like because it is a shield crest model only, so you can put this on like squad leaders. You don't have to stick it on a character. If it is a character, he is just, or they are just -1 to be hit all the time. If they are not a character, if the enemy is further than 12 inches away, they are at -1 to be shot. So that's pretty good. Defensive stuff, especially on these guys who are low wound, is nice. And then Grudge's End. This one's interesting because it upgrades a bolt weapon. So you could theoretically put this on like your Einhard champion with his combi autark bolt rifle thingy. Its damage is increased by 1, and the armor pen is increased by 1. And then each time an attack made by this weapon hits a unit with 1 or more judgment tokens, it automatically wounds. You can put this on a character with the warlord trait to ignore lookout, sir. So all you have to do is hit. You don't have to roll the wound at all. It doesn't matter what you're shooting at. It can be a T9 Land Raider. If you hit, automatically wounds. All right. Secondaries. This is one of the places where we have to see this army played, because when I read these, I've only been playing this game for a few years. When I read these, none of these stand out as good. One of them looks okay. 2 of them look really bad. And 1 looks meh. So this isn't like Necrons right now, where like going into that match that you're down 45 points. and you got to claw back, right? It's not like that. It's like the secondaries. This army can be absolutely fucking leaf blower amazing, and if the secondaries are terrible, that army will lose, right? And this is where like I don't think Votann have a super great list of faction secondaries. There are some in here that look really, really fun. Like this one here, Prospectors of Wealth. This one seems really neat. So one Votann infantry or biker unit from your army can start to perform this action at the end of your movement phase on an objective that's not in your deployment zone, and has not already had this like been done to it. It says it is at the end of the turn, so you're not going to want to just do this like willy-nilly, because you could just get shot off the objective and fail. But what it does is it gains you 3 VP, and then and then you roll a die, and then you can get a rich objectives, but it's on a roll of a die, which is the part that I don't like. So if you're not a scanner unit, which as far as I know, the way to get scanner is I think Hearthkin can get it, and I know the bikers can get it.
Yeah, it's like a 5.
Yeah, it's a 5-point upgrade. If you have scanner on a 5+, there's a rich rich deposits of ore or whatever on that objective. If you then hold it at the end of the game, it's worth another 3 VP.
It sounds fun, but it's not great at all.
The problem is that roll, right? You've got a 1/3 chance with the scanner unit to get another 3 VP, and then you have to hold it the whole game.
And I mean, in a smaller, like a game that has 5 points, or objective markers, you're going to be able to use that on 3 of them. So you have a 50% chance that out of those 3 you're going to get that 6 up. Maybe 1 and 3 if you're using the scanner. So then it's more of I think 60%. I don't know the math. I just do math. But it's crap compared to like, my favorite one right now, which is Get the Good Bits, which is very similar to this, except I don't have to roll.
And it's 4, right? And you can do it over and over on the same
again at the
objective.
same site.
And this one specifically says it has to be done on different ones each time. It's fun. I like it's very flavorful for like the Votann, but I don't think it's good. It's and the other problem is it's in shadow operations, so it competes against banners.
Yeah, and it's 12 points tops, unless you're in a map that has a lot of objective markers.
Yeah, on a 5, you definitely don't take this on a 5. You would probably take this on a 6 objective mission. But the problem there again is that you're competing against banners, and banners is just better. Like, but I like, just take banners.
Mr. Jam. Mr. Jam said, "Who needs secondaries if your opponent is a pile of ashes?"
That's true.
I like that idea, and I mean, as an orc player, that always counts as a win.
I mean, potentially you could max this out if you are tabling your opponent. If they have like 2 units left at the end of turn 3 or whatever, you can spend turn 4 and 5 just rushing all over the place and doing this, and you could max it out potentially. But then like you've already won the game because you've just leaf blowered your opponent right off the table, right? Like it's just not. I don't think it's good. It's fun. It's flavorful. It's just like rolling for the extra rich deposits and all of that, and then you have to hold that objective the whole game, and you can't do do it over and over. It's not. But let's talk about the one that I think could be good, except we're gonna have to see how it plays out. So the Ancestors Are Watching is the one where every time at the end of each phase, so it scores at the end of each phase, which is a little bonkers. But anyway, at the end of each phase, you score 2 victory points if 1 or more enemy units that had 1 or more judgment tokens on it is destroyed. You then score an additional 1 VP for each of those that had 3 or 3. It says 3 or more, but you can't get more than 3. But anyway,
maybe you can. They just keep in mind this is a leak, and there are big portions of the book that are kind of missing. I mean,
Well, we
I
got all
do
the
think all
mechanics
the
anyway. Yeah.
rules, but who knows? Maybe not.
Now, here's where I think this one sucks. Because it says at the end of the battle, you
Yeah,
reduce the number of victory points that you have by the amount of judgment tokens still on units that are alive.
yeah, that's rough, man.
And as we've already talked about, there are a lot of ways to get judgment tokens. And if you want to build like a list that just shits out judgment tokens, there are warlord traits that do that. There are units that do that. There are
Couple attachments
there
with a
are
couple of big calls.
yeah, there are
Like
relics that do this. Like it's so like, and then every time a Votann unit is destroyed, the unit that destroyed the Votann unit just gets a judgment token. So there's even like there's passive ways that you get them. So I just don't like if you kill 7 units, 14 points, right? Let's just say you max it at like 15, but if there are 5 or 8 judgment tokens still on the board, you're having it. You're going down to like 7 points. I mean, that's an extreme example, but like
Yeah.
this effectively means that if you take this and you don't table your opponent, you're gonna you can't max it. Right?
So just table your opponent. I mean, I think we have the solution here
Yes. Just kill everything they have. Yeah.
all the time.
So that's the best one in the book, I think, and I don't think it's that good. Again, we'll have to see this played out, like as games roll in, as we watch bat reps, as we go and we fight this army in like tournaments. We're gonna really know if this is a good secondary or not, because there are definitely. It's not just that you want to always spam out as many judgment tokens as possible. At least not if you plan on taking the secondary. And then, so here's the point I was trying to make earlier. With that passive of the +1 toughness league, does this count? Because it says straight up, all enemy units count as having 1 judgment marker on it at all times, even if they don't have 1 placed on it. It counts as having 1. So if you take that league and then this secondary, are you just hosing yourself?
Like I said, no, because it says for the purposes of that attack.
Of attacking. That's true. Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, it's still like that could be pretty rough.
Yeah, you win this one, Zach.
I'm the wiener.
Yeah, and then there's this grudge match one, which you'll never take because you select 5 enemy units. One of them has to be the enemy warlord. You score points if they are destroyed before the end of the battle, and you score extra points if they're destroyed in melee, and the only way to max them out is to kill all those things in melee. And this is not a melee army.
And then
even building for it, you're better off just playing fucking Blood Angels or something. Like, if you really want to be a melee army.
There's more to make this worse.
Oh, there is?
When you don't kill, you lose victory points.
Oh, really? I didn't even see that point. I think by the time I finish that, like, oh yeah, and every unit that you target has to have a certain points value. Oh no, if it has a certain points value, it's worth more victory points. I don't know. This is not a good one either. I don't understand why anybody would ever take this. What's really funny is it says if your opponent's army has 5 or fewer, then you instead identify all the units in the opponent's army. It doesn't give you bonus points if there are fewer than 5 units. You're just handicapping yourself by taking this if your opponent has fewer than 5 units.
They should just put there, if they have, just don't take this.
Yeah, this is bad. Like, this is certifiably terrible. And Mr. Jam is right. You know, you probably won't take the Votann secondaries, but that's that's such a, you know, we've seen arguably mediocre armies become unstoppable god tier by having their secondaries buffed, right? Like Necrons.
Like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, Orcs got better, quite a bit better from their secondaries.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say they're god tier, maybe mid tier, which is great. I'm happy about that. But yeah.
I just mean, like, this isn't, I mean, you know, this isn't purifying ritual. You know, like, this isn't herd the prey. You know,
Get the good bits.
like
Yeah.
those are really good secondaries. And this army doesn't have it. So you're gonna be taking things like banners, mental interrogation, you know, and that's not terrible, but it's not interesting because factions that have good secondaries, just generally speaking, do better in the meta, even if the army itself is worse, like Necrons. So,
So
and
this
then there's
final one, Lake Claim.
yeah, there's this lake claim one. If you want to read it, sir.
Oh, sure. If you selected this secondary objective, then during the resolve pre-battle ability step, your opponent must set up 3 objective markers anywhere on the ground level of the battlefield. So this is 3 completely separate objective markers.
Yes, it's not. You don't select one of the ones that already is on the board from the mission. You're adding 3 more.
And it's got to be 6 inches outside of their deployment zone or battlefield edge or your own, and not within 9 inches of each other. So you're just throwing these 3 out in the middle. This is the one that you take because you want to max out points at the end. Let me finish reading this. Each one of those represents precious resources, but does not count as a normal objective marker, as we already said. And at the end of the battle, you score 5 victory points for each one of those that you have. So that is, I killed everybody, and I put a unit on each one of these, and that's 15 points.
It's basically Stubborn Defiance, but way worse.
Not great.
It's like, yeah, I mean, even if you want to score 10 on this one, you have to hold 3 objective or 2 of the 3 that aren't even the normal objective. So then you also have to be holding the normal objectives, right? Like,
well, I mean, hopefully there's nothing to stop like being able to be on a normal objective and one of these, because I mean you only have a certain amount of space.
well, you could string out, sure, but I don't think that you're supposed to. I guess it doesn't say that it can't be on top of another objective, but like,
no, because otherwise you wouldn't have room for them.
Yeah, it just can't be within 9 inches of each other. Right. I think it's bad. Like, yeah,
I'll try it out once.
All right, the data sheets. Here we go.
The data sheets.
Yeah. So here's actually what I wanted to start with, but I'm so good at this that I just kind of blindly flailed for a few minutes at the beginning of this. But anyway, so the League keywords here, this is what I was talking about. This will go into how the like judgment tokens work, which I think we all know. And then, you know, things like, by the way, each time an enemy unit successfully completes an action or a psychic action, because remember, those are 2 different things, it gains a judgment token. Every time a Votann unit is destroyed, that unit that destroyed that Votann unit gains a judgment token. At the end of each of your opponent's turns, you select 1 enemy unit within range of an objective marker that your opponent controls, and guess what? It gets a judgment token.
Oh, sorry, different game. I thought it was one of those drinking games.
Oh, yeah. So
every time somebody says what, you gain a judgment token.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, like this is not even including the abilities that your characters and your units have to gain judgment tokens. You're already gonna have like they're gonna ramp up real fast. Psychic actions, like I said, mental interrogation is super popular right now. So that psyker in that army is gonna, you know, in 3 rounds, if you never put them on in any other way, by turn 4, it's gonna have 3 judgment tokens on it.
Well, what
anytime
are you use for judgment tokens?
I already 3D printed out about a dozen, and I thought that was gonna be enough, like little tiny, but that's not gonna be enough. You're gonna need like 60.
I mean, I feel like we need a base relief of you know, like a Karen giving you like arms crossed, just like that's
I'm judging you.
Karen's judging you, and so the space dwarves are coming out.
So Garrett, you said it seems like Votanns are in a similar boat with NIDs. Can you expand on that? Thanks for swinging by, Mr. Jam. I think that was when we were talking about secondaries, so it might be a little like jarring, but I'm curious what you mean. Um,
Well, he's saying that yeah, our secondaries
Sylvie,
are
don't eat
kind
that.
of crap.
Knock it off. Cats. And then it goes into like, you know, what counts as a model for getting judgment tokens. No climbing in and out of a transport like doesn't magically wash away your judgment tokens. Like, you know, they go into here about the hunter weapons, which, like I said, they're basically just normal. You can't advance and shoot them. You don't take the heavy penalty from moving and firing them because they're not heavy. Yeah, and then what's it? Call unit. Yeah.
So do
Anyway,
you
I think
think
we've
there's going to be
gone.
more
Oh,
information on these hunters?
I forgot
What
about
weapons?
this actually. I should
Oh,
have.
study advance. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
they're
should
not
have
as slow
actually
as you
pointed this
think.
out. So go ahead, Zach.
So I mean, yes, they're slow-ish, but they ignore any and all modifiers to their move characteristics or any modifiers to advance or charge rules. So you can't cut their charge down at all. It's always going to be
Yep.
9 inches.
So Tanglefoot doesn't matter. Charging through a
No,
crater doesn't matter. They
yeah,
ignore all of that.
I think
The little
great.
photon grenade or whatever for Tau that adds 2 inches, that doesn't matter. They ignore all of that stuff.
Yep,
Um,
and they don't make advance rolls. They can move 3 inches, 6 if they are accelerated, and I think the only accelerated unit is the Berserks.
Not true. The
Oh, is that?
Einhard champion, both of the
Oh, it's accelerated.
transports,
Oh, okay.
the bikers, and the Berserks are all accelerated.
Well,
Yeah. So like half the
bloody.
Codex is accelerated.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
I don't think many, just half.
Yeah. Just half. I mean, it's only 12 data sheets, so you know.
So yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. Yeah.
And then here's where we go into the, you know, the magma rail or the magna rail, magma. Invone saves cannot be taken, and then as we said earlier, unmodified rule wall of 6. Excess damage is not lost. So gross.
Right.
And then they go into how beam weapons work here.
Yeah, that's where it says it has to be an eligible target.
Mhm.
So if it's not an eligible target, then they cannot be hit by the beam.
So stratagems.
I haven't even really looked at these yet.
So there are a bunch. I've actually read them all. I've got a list of the ones that I think are actually stand out that we should talk about. The kin strats are good. Generally speaking, they have very good stratagems. But there are some standouts. So there's this one here called Accelerated Response. So this is also a Votann accelerated unit. When you choose them to advance until the end of the phase, you add 12 to their move characteristic of each model in this unit.
Jesus.
So for 1 CP, you can have one group of bikers move 24 inches. They advanced, so they can't shoot. I think they've got shotguns, which are assault or whatever, and they're not very good. But that's nuts. 24-inch movement. Like,
yeah, that is nuts.
For 1 CP. Ancestral sentence here is reroll all hit rolls, so that's melee or ranged, against a target with at least 1 judgment token. For 1 CP. It's any Votann unit, by the way, in shooting.
Yeah, that's any.
Yeah, it does say in shooting, so my little melee note here is wrong, but
no,
yeah.
it says in here. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
or in the fight phase. All right, I was right. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty good. Just
wait, I'm really okay. That is some poor sentence structure, is what that is.
Yeah, it's because they're trying to break it up and make it obvious that like you can't use this in the charge phase to like fire
Okay.
Overwatch. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I can only hit on sixes, but I can reroll all my hits, so I'm gonna use this. You like you can't do that because it's the charge phase, right?
Yeah.
So that one's really good. Just like that's amazing. Just reroll all your hits all the time. So even if you don't have chapter master reroll on your Einhart champion, you charge that motherfucker into melee. You spend 1 CP. He rerolls all his hits.
Yeah.
There's the Might of the Einhard here. This is add 1 to your hit rolls in melee. It's only for Einhard units.
That just gives them 2 up.
Yep. So, or you're ignoring the hit penalties from your hammers or whatever. This is basically Fury of the First for Terminators. More proof that the Einhard are effectively just Terminator analogs. Familial Loyalty is down. There it is. 1 CP, any Votann infantry or biker unit can heroically intervene. 1 CP. This is really big. Like this is this is a huge threat that your opponent is going to have to be aware of at all times. Because like there are units out there that are very good in melee. But if you can blunt them by heroically intervening in, like witches, they're very good at melee, but they're made of tissue paper. So if they're ready to chop off a 10-man unit of your Hearthguard, you can heroically intervene and kill them first because it's your turn.
Much cheaper than the 2 CP to interrupt, right?
Yep. It's your turn, so you have fight priority. Yep. So, it's pretty good. This is a big deal. Let's see, what's the rest? Luck has, need keeps, toil earns. That's this one up here. This is 1 CP, okay? And it has to be for a unit that is on an objective marker, but that unit automatically passes morale. So this is already better than Insane Bravery because it's 1 CP, with the only caveat being you have to be on an objective, but that's where you're going to want to be anyway. So this is already great. Then unless that unit makes a ranged attack or declares a charge, they cannot fail an action. So if you're fighting another Votann unit and they try to use that ability that makes you fail your action, you can pop for 1 CP and you can't fail the action. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you get a 6-up Field of Pain.
Because, yeah.
For 1 CP. There is no limit on unit size in here. So 20-man Hearthguard can pop this.
Stratagem.
For 1 CP.
And, everything's they're so much cheaper than they are in other places. So that's super nice. Maybe that's because, they realize after the change over to Nephilim, like we'll see this in other ones coming up as well, where the stratagems have gotten cheaper. Yep. But super nice.
Mag Riders here. This is specific for bikers, so there's only 1 biker unit in the whole codex. So this is your Pioneers, which I think will be a staple of every list because it's the only fast unit in the whole book, basically. This is, I don't remember what that White Scars strat is for their bikers, but it gives them -1 to be hit. That's what this does as well. Except it also makes it so that if the unit targeting you advanced during its previous turn, that unit's attacks to hit cannot be rerolled.
Which means no rerolls, because they already can't reroll wounds or damage.
Right. So it's whatever that White Scar stratagem is, this one's better. Because of course it is.
It is a stratagem, though, or stratagem. I don't know how you say that. I'll say it both ways
I say
until somebody gets
strategy.
annoyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I mean,
Zoom,
there's a
zoom.
lot
Yeah.
of biker units out there that just automatically get that -1 to hit too, though. So, I mean,
Well,
this one you have to play
yeah.
spend a CP for it, and it's only during a turn, so or
Yeah.
the shooting phase. So, still cool though. I mean, -1 to attack can really fuck up some armies with poor shooting, of which
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention the name of again.
Orcs. I think you're talking about orcs.
I might
There's
be.
this one's really fun for a shooting army. It's called Point Blank Fusillade. It's 2 CP. But it basically allows a unit that is locked into melee combat to fire into that unit that they're locked into melee combat with. There's a long paragraph explaining how that actually works. And if I remember right, you can even fire into engagement range of. It basically gives infantry units the
Like
big
kick,
guns never
right?
tire rule.
Yeah.
So you can fire heavy weapons at -1, and you can otherwise fire whatever you want into melee combat. And then if you want to fire outside of melee combat, that unit that you're engaged with in engagement range has to be destroyed first, and then you can roll that attack. Blah, blah, blah. It's basically just gives big guns never tire to infantry or
There's nothing against
bikers.
blast though
What's
on
that?
this. I don't
Oh,
see anything that
blast.
says you
Yeah.
can't do blast weapons.
Well, I guess you can do blast weapons.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So that's it. That's pretty cool, which means you can't just run in and lock up a shooting unit and then be like, well, they can only fall back. No, they can still shoot you. They maybe aren't shooting what they want to shoot, but they can still shoot you.
That's right.
And then the last one I want to talk about real quick is multi-wave system jammer. Use the stratagem at the start of any phase. Select one Votann comms unit from your army, then select one enemy unit within 12 inches of that unit. And until the end of the phase, that enemy unit cannot be affected by any aura abilities that units in your opponent's army has.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
You have a bunch of Black Templar Terminators walking up the board with an apothecary. You target the Terminators, they don't get the feel no pain. Like, it's, yeah, you can turn off reroll auras, all that stuff. You just, it just turns off, it's not even turning off the aura of like one character. It just says that unit can no longer benefit from any auras. And that's pretty gnarly. It has to be a comms unit, and there's not a lot of those. I think it's just the bikers can upgrade them for 5 points. They can get the comms thing, and then I think one of your Hearthkin infantry you can upgrade to have the comms. So this isn't gonna be super common, but it's good to know that it's there.
I got a transhuman as well, overcharged shield crest.
Yeah, they have, but I mean, the good news is that's like shield crest models only. So yeah, they have all the good bits. They have fight last from relics. They have, you know, great stratagems. I guess they don't have good secondaries, but that's okay.
All right, we're on to characters. Oh my god.
Yeah, we're into data sheets now. So this is Uthar the Destined. This is a greater Therian League locked character. He's like an Uber call. He's their like chapter master, basically. There's not a lot here that's that interesting, except he has so many weird little abilities, including this one, which is called the Destined. Are you ready?
Yeah, I know this one.
Each time an attack is allocated to this model, the damage characteristic of that attack is changed to 1.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like Tensor's Bones.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, at least he doesn't
for free.
have a taunt that makes it so you have to attack him.
Yeah.
But that is insane. Uh,
Otherwise, all of this is his like normal chapter master stuff up here, and then this is where you first get to read about Grim efficiency, and this will be a big like the primary way that most Votann armies are going to be throwing out lots of judgment tokens, and basically it's in your command phase. You pick one unit that is visible to your call. So that's visible. So it can be all the way across the whole map. There's no range. And then you can just give them one token. That's the standard way. And as we've already been over, there are ways to make that 2 tokens. There are ways to do that twice. And then each call gets this. So you can take an unnamed high call and an unnamed call, and you have 2 calls, and they can both do this. So you can actually get into a spot where you're tossing out a lot of judgment at the beginning of a turn. So, and then he gets this special thing called Ancestral Fortune, which is once per battle round when you make a hit roll, a wound roll, or a damage roll, or a saving throw for this model, or a friendly Greater Therian League unit, which this is that's a big caveat there. You can change the result to a 6. For any rules purposes, this counts as an unmodified 6. So you see there where it said wound roll, and you see where the Magna Rail gets to do that bullshit spreading its damage.
You do that? You put a token on a guy, you're standing next to your big tank, it shoots the Magna Rail at it, you make that hit a 6, which is automatically a wound roll of a 6, it just goes through.
Yep. Just goes through, and then it does 2d3 plus 6 damage, which is then doesn't stop at one model after it's obliterated one model. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
this guy is locked to the Greater Therian League, and I already said it earlier when we were going over all the leagues, but I think that's the best, most competitive league anyway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the only named character. So.
Yep, that's it. Because remember, 12 data sheets, one of them is call, and the other one is a named call. So you only have 11 unique data sheets in this whole book. All right, here's the Grimnir. So this is the only Psyker available. Each one of these comes with the actual Grimnir model and then 2 Corvs, C-O-R-V, which are little robots. The Corvs do some stuff to buff him. Mostly they're there to eat perils of the warp. If he ever perils
bolters,
whatever that normally does, instead it just destroys like one of the Corvs, and then that's it. You're done. And then yeah, they have some guns. They have like some the normal. Yeah. He has a 4-up invul. He does have a different aura where within 6 inches you add 1 to the combat attrition tests. Okay, bonus, whatever, not bad, but you know, I'm not gonna take him for that aura.
No. I mean, the squad leadership isn't horrible, but it's also not great compared to a lot of other armies. And you do have some units that have potential. Well, at least your troops have a unit potential to be a larger unit. I mean, case in point, if you had this guy next to a unit of warriors that lost 5 dudes, and it's a 20-man blob, and you're within range, you can't lose anybody during the combat attrition phase because you're adding 1 to that test. So a 1 still passes.
Right.
So, I mean,
well, 1 is as low as you can go. So
right, exactly. So as low as you can go is 2, and I don't know if during combat attrition 1 is always a failure, no matter what. Because otherwise it's pointless anyways. Because combat attrition, that's either a 1 or 2, or in the case of Gretchen, 3s.
So base here, he knows 2, casts 2, and denies 1. So that's his base. Now we're gonna go back up to that other page here, where we're going to talk about how you can buff him by using this ability here. It's a points upgrade. I think it's 25 points, and you can turn them into a Lord Grimnir instead of just a normal Grimnir.
Oh, yes, yeah. Lord Grimnir.
So this is basically a Chief Librarian upgrade. I know we've been comparing these guys to Space Marines a lot because they're very analogous to Space Marines. This is where they get to attempt to manifest 1 additional power. So they don't gain a power from this, but they do get to cast it. So now they know to cast 3 and deny 1. And then with that relic, you can get them to know 3, cast 3, and deny 1. So yeah. already he's a stronger Psyker than Kaldor Drago or Voldus for some reason.
Well, he's the only one. I mean, if you're going to have an army full of Psykers, then you can't have the Super Psyker. That's got to go on an army with no Psykers.
Voldus has pulled planets into or out of the warp.
I mean,
he used to have 3 casts. In 8th, he actually did have 3 cats. But anyway.
He had 3 cats?
3 casts. I have 3 cats.
Oh.
All right. Each time a Lord Grimnir model attempts to manifest a psychic power only from the Skynrot discipline, so Smite does not count. If there are enemy units within 18 of him, he gets +1 to cast. And then he can take this Warlord trait if you pay for it, which adds 6 inches to the range of all of their psychic powers, which is not bad.
Distance, yeah.
So there you go. So you can upgrade him to a Lord Grimnir, and then he gains some more bonuses. Like I said, it's kind of like the Chief Librarian upgrade available to Space Marines. So yeah, we'll move on. The Einhard Champion, which I think is your favorite model in the game.
I mean, I like it a lot. Yeah, it's my
favorite model in the army, I guess.
I don't know how much I'd use him in the Ymir, but I mean, just he can be so punchy. So punchy. I love it. Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 ups for his weapon skill, ballistic skill, of course, but he's got the mass driver accelerators, which means on a roll of 6, if it equals or beats on an unmodified 6, or if it's equal or better than the toughness of what he's actually charged, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. Yep. That's a get in there.
So that's just free mortal wounds on the charge.
3. Yeah, 3 mortal wounds on the charge. He buffs the other Hearthguard around him, which gives them a reroll 1 on wounds. Little aura, 6 inches. Subtract 1 damage to any damage that's done to him. I mean, not as awesome as turn everything into 1, but and attacks against melee attacks have -1 to wound on him. So that makes him pretty tough. He's got a 4-up invuln. Standard. I mean, you can pick between the wave field crest and teleport crest. The only thing a teleport is going to give you is basically the ability to drop in later. I think there's a stratagem that you can use with that as well.
There is. Yep. There is one. It's just like the teleportarium strat from Deathwatch. I want to point out, though, that this is one of the models in the game that has the accelerated keyword.
Yes.
So you can spend 1 CP to have this guy's movement when he advances become 12.
Instead of 5.
Instead of 5, he can move 12 for 1 CP.
But, That would
Would
be really cool if there was an advance in
I
charge, but
was
there isn't.
I'm glad that you said that, because yes, the one tool that they don't have in their toolbox is they don't have advance and charge anywhere in this codex that I can find at all. There are no leagues that do it. There are no stratagems that do it. There's no relics that let them do it. They cannot advance and charge.
They're gonna wait until there's a $200 Forge World model that does that.
That'll do it. So
That'll
this
do it.
guy, he's an HQ. You can give him warlord traits. You can give him relics. We already went over some of the crazy wombo combos you can do with this guy, with that like bonkers,
Yeah,
that
the
bonkers
Exeter.
hammer relic, and yeah, you can just fish for mortal wounds out of him. All right, the Iron Master.
I haven't even really looked at this guy because I haven't started putting his stuff into Battlescribe yet.
Okay, well let me help you here. All right, so he is another one of those models that comes with like multiple or one of those units that comes with multiple models, even though he's one HQ. He's basically a tech marine. He's got a whole bunch of weapons. He can heal. He's got Awaken the Machine Spirits, basically, but it's called Multi-Spectral Visor. So, although, here's the crazy thing, though. Tech Marine specifically says you get +1 to hit in range for a vehicle, right? You awaken the Machine Spirit, and now it's got, you know. This just says core or vehicle.
Yeah.
So you can just give any of your shooting units +1 to shoot.
Albeit there's not a lot. I mean, the vehicles, they have decent shoot. Or yeah, I guess the vehicles. But I guess no, you can get the Thunder
Magna
Cannon
Rail, Magna Rail
Yeah.
cannon, my friend.
Well,
You
that's
want to
already
hit
on
on
a vehicle.
twos?
It's already on a vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of
I'm
course
just
I wanna
saying,
hit on twos.
like, this
And
is
I want to re-roll those as well.
Yeah. This isn't it makes me sad too, because like if Tech Marines could give out that buff to like Space Marine Corps, like you'd probably see a lot more Tech Marines in the list. He repairs D3 wounds at the end of every movement phase, just like a Tech Marine. He comes with this Ironkin assistant model, and as long as he has it in there, he can shoot without an action failing, and he can perform an action after he advanced. And I don't think there's another unit in the game that does that.
This is really confusing because I mean it says this unit can perform actions even if it has advanced. Oh, it says this unit. Sorry.
Yes, this
First,
unit.
I didn't see this unit. I was like, so the Iron Can assistant can shoot and nothing else can? No, okay, that's very clear.
This unit, yeah. And then each time this unit uses its guild ability, which is where it heals, if it contains one or more ECOG models, the model being repaired gains an additional, so up to 4. So you roll, so as low as 2, up to 4, just by default. And then if it's destroyed, obviously it doesn't count towards morale, blah, blah, blah. But where this guy gets really bonkers is back to those upgrades for the Forge Master. So this is like making him a master of the Forge upgrade for Space Marines. Once per battle round, so if you buy this upgrade, which I think is another 25 points,
yeah.
So I think he comes out to like 105 points or whatever. Once per battle round, if this model is selected when you use a war gear stratagem, if the unit selected is friendly and within 6 inches of it, you reduce the cost of that stratagem by 1 CP. And it can only be done once, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not really sure off the top of my head what a good Votann war gear stratagem is, but this effectively makes it.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, this makes it less expensive to use stratagems, so not bad. here's their ancestral judgment. Each time they make an attack on an unmodified wound roll of 6, if the target has 1 or more tokens on it, it inflicts a number of mortal wounds on the target equal to the damage characteristic of the attack, and the attack sequence ends. One of his guns is a grav gun. So if you shoot a Space Marine, a Terminator, whose save is 2+, which is better than a 3+, it's gonna go to 3 damage. It then does 3 mortal wounds instead and just ends. That's pretty cool. If he uses one of his beam weapons, it also applies to any intervening units that are hit by the beam.
That have a judgment token on it.
Right. So you could slice through, this is not likely, but you could do like 1 mortal wound to like 4 or 5 different units in a big line. Zap. One to each, not like 4 to each, but 1 mortal wound to each. Now here's where it gets really stupid. The Master Armorer Warlord trait that this upgrade unlocks, when a vehicle is close to him and takes damage for the first time, I don't even think it says the first time. I think you pick. You get to just change that damage characteristic to 0. Oh, and he'll automatically heal 3 plus 1 from his cog, so he'll heal 4. So you have a land fortress, and a hammerhead shoots at it.
No.
You turn the railgun damage to 0. You take the 3 mortal wounds. The next turn, you heal it for 4.
Fuck you. That's
the land fortress does not give 2 shits about your railgun as long as this guy is following it. Does not care. That's incredible, especially because you get to pick which attack you're turning to 0. It's not like the Helix Gauntlet for infiltrators, which is the first attack that gets through. It calls that out specifically. This is an attack, and you get to pick what that is. So your opponent can't even shoot you with Stormbolters or whatever, trying to make this proc. You just wait until you want to use it.
Yeah. It's right when it's failed, so.
Yep. When it's failed. So,
that's pretty awesome. Yeah, so I will probably be spending a CP for that in my Ymir list.
Yeah. He's really good. He's really good. And it's because of that upgrade. Also, that's an awesome model. I love it. But he kind of has he's kind of like the Tech Marine, where he has a ton of weapons and it looks like he gets to shoot with most of them. Just like a Tech Marine. And then to top it all off, he's actually not bad. He's got a okay melee profile, and he's got a 2-up ballistic skill.
Yeah, that graviton rifle is nice.
Yeah, so he's not bad at all.
Well, the graviton rifle, it's like that other one. It does 1 more damage if they have a save of 3 up.
Yep, it's a grav weapon.
Yeah. Okay. And
so if you want a support character, and you're bringing any vehicles at all, this guy, he's good anyway, just because he gets this multi-spectrum visor. So even if you have no vehicles in your list, this guy's 80 points base. You can bring him just to give people +1 to hit in ranged in a shooting army.
Yeah.
80 points. That's not bad. And then if you do have vehicles, you can give him the Warlord trait, and he can heal and make damage 0. Blah blah blah. It's a crazy combo. All right, the call, the unnamed call. So We already went over his exemplar ability or whatever, where you turn him into a high call, and that basically just makes him a chapter master, and then allows you to take another non-named, non-high call in your list for 2 calls, which just really the primary benefit there is you get multiple reroll auras, and you get your 1 unit gets reroll all hits, and then you get just to shit out judgment tokens every command phase. You're going to be throwing out 3 at least.
Yeah, the nice other thing about it is all the units around him, typically, if you're not teleporting him, also have a 5-up invuln. So he's got a 6-inch bubble of 5-up invuln against ranged attacks.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for him.
Pretty good. I mean, he's got a 2-up, 2-up, so like he's not terrible in melee. He comes with the plasma axe. He comes with the plasma axe stock, but you can upgrade him for 10 points. I think it is. You can get the mass gauntlet, which is basically just a better power fist. It's still -1 to hit, but it's and it's not ×2 strength. It's +3. This is what I was like saying earlier, where it's a little weird, like how they decided that they're gonna. So he'll only be strength 7, not strength 8, like with a power fist, but he has 1 more damage. It's not 2 damage; it's 3 damage.
So it doesn't really matter as much with this army with strength because of the auto wounding.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, they do have a lot of this call only has a strength of 4. I think their highest strength unit is in melee is a 5 normally.
Yeah, I think it's the champion.
Yeah, the champion. But I mean, it doesn't matter that much. But yeah, the mass gauntlet, you're hitting with the strength 7, possibly 8 if you're on a charge and you're running Kronos. But you don't want this guy in melee anyways most of the time. I mean, yeah if you need to.
Yeah. So, another pretty good little buffing unit there. No interesting keywords to like point out. All right, here's your meat and potatoes. Here's your troops, your Hearthkin warriors. You're gonna have to take, I think most lists we're gonna see will be a battalion, which means you're gonna have at least 30 of these guys on the table. And of course, you all saw in the starter box, there's only 2 squads of them. So you'll have to buy at least 1 more box when they do come out.
So I mean, for us, I think I was planning on buying 2 boxes anyways, but I might only buy 1 right away and then wait for other stuff to come out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just don't want to try to like sell that extra codex and the extra HQ models. I just want to.
Right.
I'll just paint what's in there and then chill.
Even if we split up the second box, we would still have a bunch of extra units we didn't.
Yeah.
Neither of us wanted.
That's true. So you have to take these in a 10-man. They're 11 points per model. So 11 times 10 is frequently 110 points. So that's what you're running. So for a little bit more than a squad of 5-man intercessors, you get these guys. They're only 1 wound. They have a 4-up naturally. So like Void Armor is still very good, ignoring that AP, but they don't have a 3-up. They have a 4-up. They all have these Autarch pattern bolters, which I was joking earlier are basically just better bolters, and they are, because they are range 24. They are Hunter 2, so you just always get 2 shots. Always. No matter what the range is. Strength 4, -1 AP, 1 damage. So they're basically really good bolters.
Yeah, let me share my screen here for a sec, see if this works.
It probably won't show up for the streamers.
Oh, let's see. Does it show up for streamers?
Nope.
Nah.
Sorry,
I was going to say, because I have a nice little way you can kind of see it. Like, you can get those guys up to about 250 points when you're playing with them. So let me just stop streaming or stop sharing.
Sorry, man.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem.
Yeah.
So you can get them up like a typical one where if you have like say 2 special weapons, you're looking at about 100. Well, I mean, if you have the Magna Rail, like you're looking at 125 points to 140 points for a 10-man squad.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can. The only melee weapon that they have in this unit, though, is that Thane, and you can give him a melee weapon instead of his main weapon slot.
Oh, so he gets rid of his bolter and he has a sword or whatever?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Or concussion gauntlets for 10.
All right. There's a whole bunch of information here about how to give special weapons, but basically for every 10 of them, you can have 2 special weapons. You cannot double up on the special weapons until you're at a unit size of 20, and even so, you still cannot take more than 2 special weapons of the same type in a 20-man.
Yep.
Yeah, so the way I would run these guys, the way I'm thinking about actually running these is one of the Magna Rails, because the Magna Rail rifle is strength 9, -4 AP, D3 plus 3 damage, and it has the Magna Rail keyword. So again, that means you can't take invols against it. And if you have that sweet natural 6 up on the wound rolls, the damage doesn't end at the first model. It just keeps going through that whole unit. So I would definitely bring one of those. I think it's like 10 points to bring one of those. They're not
20.
Cheap. Oh, it's 20? Okay.
20 points for it. But that's worth it.
Yeah. And then I would probably bring the L7 missile launcher just because it gives you a little bit more of that high strength shooting. It is a D6, but you get some blast too. So if you're fighting like big blobs of Necron warriors or whatever, you've got some blast in the army. There's not a lot of blast in this army, really.
No, I was actually kind of like back and forth. I'm pretty similar to what I was looking at this. I mean, of course, we can't forget to mention the medic and
we won't.
Array.
Yeah,
actually, all 3 of those are pretty good.
Yep, pretty good.
Those are 5 apiece. But yeah, I was thinking the plasma beamer instead of the launcher. But now that I look at it, I might go with the launcher as well, just to have some range, at least on one of the attacks.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I was thinking about the plasma beamer too, and then I saw it's 18 inches. It's like,
but you can make it 22.
You can if you're Ymir or whatever.
Yeah. However you say that. But yeah, the other key piece there is that Medipack is awesome.
Yeah.
Because you can just turn something to a damage 0 as well.
Yep. So this there's some other upgrades. I think these are 5 points apiece. There are 3 of them. The first is the Medipack. So you basically have an apothecary inside the unit. Once per turn, you can change, or on the first time the saving throw is failed, by the way, so that's very important. The damage of that attack is now 0, but then they also gain the medic keyword, and there is a stratagem for 1 CP to bring back D3 models. So you're getting a lot there for that 5 points. The other... Oh, what?
Oh, go ahead.
The other upgrade is the multi-wave comms array, and this is cool too. We've really only seen something like this with like Phobos units, but they grant the comms keyword, and then while they are within 24 inches of a friendly call, they are now within their kindred hero aura. So they get reroll 1s to hit if they're within 24 inches of a call, not within 6.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And that's 5 points. Like, that's worth it, I think. And then the last upgrade is the Pan Spectral Scanner. This is one of the only ways to get scanner keyword in the whole book, as far as I know. But they gain the scanner keyword, which means that if you do take that secondary, where you have to prospect, these guys can do it on a 5+. Anyway, but here's what's cool, is that target that you're firing at does not get the benefits of light cover. The whole unit. Yeah. Not just the one model that has this upgrade. The whole unit ignores light cover for 5 points. Pretty good. In a Armor of Contempt world, pretty good. And that's really
world, that's one layer down. It's not quite there. It's one layer down.
Yeah. And then otherwise it has the same stuff where the Thane has a 4-up invul from their wave field crest, and otherwise, like, you know, you got 10 guys all firing 2 shots. Like, if it's a bog standard team, you got 20 shots coming at you, you know, auto wounding probably by some, you know, at some point it's probably auto wounding. A whole bunch of crazy upgrades you can buy. I don't think almost anybody's gonna buy most of these because the bolter's pretty good, and you can only take 2 special weapons anyway. So
yeah, I think what you're gonna see is it's gonna be like the Magna rifle and the missile launcher, possibly the auto rifle. I mean, I don't know, just for the additional AP, but I know. Yeah, there's not a lot there. I don't really see people spending the cash to drop a bolter to grab one of those melee weapons.
Yeah, I mean, these
one dude in the unit.
These guys are really just there to, like, you know, hold objectives. They're pretty cheap. Like, the base cost is pretty cheap. Yeah, the mag rifle is insane. You're absolutely right. I can't believe that they stuck that on, like, the troops. And you know why they didn't let you, like, buy that for characters or whatever. All right. The Einhar Hearthguard. I love these guys. These are their Terminators. They are toughness 5 to start. They're only 2 wounds, but they are -1 damage, just base. So if you hit this guy with a heavy bolter, it doesn't kill one. It goes down to 1 wound. So when you think of the math for most weapons, it's like they have 3 wounds. They don't really, but, like, you know, that -1 damage is pretty big. They're slow like the rest of the army, like movement 5. They have a 2-up armor save. If you take it in, is it Ymir that gets the invul? So they'll have a 4-up invul in Ymir. If you take these guys in the Earther or whatever, they'll have toughness 6.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then each one comes just bog standard with a plasma gun, a grenade launcher, and a concussion gauntlet.
Yeah, and
so...
you can change for free if you want a disintegrator or plasma blade gauntlet. Those don't cost any to switch them out.
Yeah.
The only thing that costs money is the hammer, which you can give to the Hessier.
I think the gauntlet's really good. There's an argument to be made to grab the blades, mostly because they look fucking awesome. But then,
yeah.
like, they're higher AP, and we are still living in an Armor of Contempt world, so the gauntlets, and then you get an extra attack. So it's kind of like a mix of a power sword and a chain sword in one free. Completely free, unlike a Space Marine where you have to pay 3 points for a power sword. These guys get a power sword for free that you also get an extra attack with, like a chainsword. So, and the plasma blades look awesome.
Yeah, they really do.
And then, like I said, they're exo armor, so they are at -1 damage. I'm not really sure. Like, I think the plasma gun is better than the disintegrator. The disintegrator is shorter range. You get more shots, though, I guess.
Yeah, so. And you can get a mortal wound on a modified hit roll of 6. But yeah. I prefer the plasma gun for sure. I mean, you only get 1 shot, but it's AP 4 and it's 2 damage.
Yeah, and it's strength 8, which
could
potentially matter. Yes, the Einhard champion grants only these guys a lieutenant wound rolls of 1, which is too bad because the Einhar champion is really a melee beat stick. So none of the lists I've been playing with even include him. And then also with this army's entire thing being hit rolls automatically wound, you know, like, yeah, you're still going to make wound rolls, but it's far less necessary than like Space Marines, right? So I don't, in my list at least, I don't see using the Einhar champion, even though the model is awesome. So yeah, I love these guys. I'm going to use the hell out of them. Like, I love the idea of them being toughness 6. If you cast that 1 power on them, they could be toughness 7. Which is silly. And here's the Chthonian. I will point out that it is not Berserk. There's no R. Well, there's not a second R in there. They are Berserks.
Is that a typo or not?
I was watching a stream earlier, and some folks were laughing that it's so that they can actually copyright it, where like Berserker or Berserk is not a copyrightable term.
That sounds like an Eldari kind of thing.
But it could be. It could definitely be a typo.
Yeah, it's a typo that they just like went with everywhere because they say Berserk everywhere on there.
Yeah, it's true. These guys, they get fight on death like Repentia. They're slow because they're dwarves. They have little stumpy legs.
5 up field of pain.
Huh?
4 up against. They have a 5 up field of pain. 4 up against damage 1 weapons.
Yeah, and they have a 6 up armor save.
Yeah.
I mean, it's void armor, so you're still ignoring AP1 and stuff, but like you've basically got a t-shirt set save. I don't know. This is like it's like the Kroot of the right, like
points each too.
Like how do invols work? Oh, okay, yeah. So we'll just answer that really quick. A invol is a save that can't be modified past its value, except in specific instances, like certain weapons ignore them, but it's pretty rare. Yeah, generally speaking, an invul means like if you have a Terminator, right? They have a 2-up save normally and a 5-up invul. So that means that if you hit that Terminator with an AP minus 10,000 shot, it can only be dropped down to his 5-up. It can never go beyond that. Where if you have a normal Space Marine with no invul and you hit them with AP4, with a total value of AP4, they don't get a save at all, and the damage goes right through. So I hope that answers the question. But armor values can be changed by AP, and invulnerable saves cannot, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's still a use for these if you're doing Kronos. I think that's pretty much it, because they're the melee guys here. And it's nice that they have a couple different profiles on that axe. Alternatively, they all can be given the concussion maul. And if you have 5, one of them could be a mole grenade launcher unit, which can do the non-line of sight shooting. It also gives them that subterranean explosives keyword, which there's a strat that cuts movement for other units based off of that. Or you can give them the twin, and you can give one of them the twin concussion gauntlet, which is just the same as the concussion gauntlet, but you get 1 extra attack. I see these actually in use, not like you wouldn't put them out on their own. Oh, the other key piece is, they have this augment. That's their 5-up, 4-up, feel no pain. So after a wound comes in, if it's a damage of 1, any roll of a 4, they don't take that damage, and 5-up on all the other wounds. And they can re-roll charge rolls, which is always great.
Yep.
For a melee unit.
And obviously, because they're Votann, they're ignoring modifiers to the charge roll.
They're ignoring the modifiers, and they also fight on death. So you can get them
Yes.
in there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, really for these guys, the way to even use them would be to put them in a couple Sagittars.
Yep. That's it.
Which we are getting to.
Because they are. So Sass has a follow-up question, so I just want to make sure that I'm answering it properly. But yes, in the game there are currently data sheets that have like a 7-up save, which means effectively that they don't have a save because you can't roll a 7 on a six sided die. But if they are granted an invul from something, then that invul would take precedence. So if they somehow got a 4-up invul, even though their natural armor is a 7, they would use the 4. Technically, it's your choice. You can decide to use the 7-up if you want, but that's bonkers, and you probably wouldn't.
Yeah, specifically, his question was just about
yes,
like Berserks, being that they have the 6-up, and Ymir gives everybody a 5-up invul.
I wanted to come back to this page here just so I could make sure that it did say all units, because if it said like all warriors and exosuit or whatever, I just wanted to make sure that I was being very thorough with how I answered that. But yes, basically the invul would become its new armor save. But like I said, you can choose if you want. You can have him roll with the normal armor save. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could do it theoretically.
Are there any other units other than Gretchen that have the 7-up armor save?
I thought one of the old demon data sheets had a really terrible save, but I don't remember now.
Oh, they probably don't now.
Yeah. Well, they don't now. All right. So yeah, these guys, they're the melee hard hitters. They have like, what's great is I like this data sheet. It just, where does it fit into a Votann army?
Yeah.
It's like
cheaper releases.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't stuck at this many. They got to be coming out with more models in like a year or something. But,
I mean, the bonus here is like, don't forget you have that 1 CP heroic intervention strat. Like that's huge for these guys. Yeah, I don't see myself actively buying a box of these for a while, unless I wanted to paint them.
Do they come with the starter box?
No, the starter box is the named call, the champion, 2 10-man squads of the Hearthguard, and then 3 of the bikes.
Okay.
I didn't see any of the like Thunderkin in there or anything like that.
Oh man, that's gonna be rough. Oh well.
Yeah. Speaking of which, here's the Thunderkin. So these are the the heavy weapon squads. These are the like Devastator Marine analogs. I was pretty excited until I read this data sheet, and now I'm just they're okay. I think the Graviton Blast Cannon is the best gun. It's only 18-inch range, 22 if you're in, Ymir. The Bolt Cannon is actually pretty decent, but these guys aren't cheap, if I remember right. They're 35 points a model, and the Beamer's another 5 points. So you're looking at 40 points a model in an army that I saw described as aggressively priced. That's a little heavy. So I like them. I like the model. I wish they had a helmet and not the weird goggles. I'm gonna buy some just because they're cool models and I don't want to paint them. I don't know how like instrumental they'll be in everyone's list. Like these, if you think of this like Tau, these are like their heavy weapon suits that now I can't remember the name of, that had the real guns.
Broadsides?
The
broadsides?
Yes. Like this is supposed to be like their broadsides, but they don't have the punch of the broadsides. Like they don't have that data sheet. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, again, the Beamer does have its place though. I mean, Yeah, it doesn't have the AP, the other one there, but it is a 30-inch range beam. So everything in that 30-inch range gets hit on a hit. So you got 3 of these guys, theoretically 3 hits. Just spam some wounds along multiple units. If there's a lot of units that you're going against, say, a knight list or something, yeah, I don't. Ironically, it's not a great weapon for those.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I like them. I wish there was another gun or something. This is just where like the range of the Votann just this hurts because it's like the graviton gun, if it was base 24, would be a lot better. The beamer would be a lot better if it was like 36 inches. The bolt cannon's not bad, but like 35 points. And as far as I know, there were no exoframe like specific strats. Like there was nothing that made these guys like bonkers good that I saw. Maybe I missed something. Also, these guys can't be put into any transports as far as I can see, except maybe the land fortress. And I think in a land fortress, it takes up 3 slots. So you can't, like, if you have a 6-man group, they're trudging it. They're not being transported anyway. They're walking. And again, their movement's only 5. They cannot get a teleport crest. They do ignore dense cover, which is interesting decision. So they're basically just always going to be on a ballistic skill of 3+.
How often do you run into dense cover in the games you've been playing recently? It happens from time to time for me, but not very often.
The RTTs we go to, there's always a couple like forests and stuff, but usually people just stick those in the corners and
right,
you know,
because like, they don't want it either.
Yeah, because it affects you both ways, right? Like,
right.
Yeah. So I mean, I think these guys are just swing and a miss. I really wanted them to be awesome. Like when they previewed them, I was like, oh fuck yeah, like big heavy, like big heavy weapons guys. This would be great. And then I don't know. I'm just iffy about them. Maybe there's a combo I'm not seeing. Like I'm sure there's someone out there who's gonna like make these guys lose core or something. I don't know.
It's like, oh, I need to have 18 of those now.
Yeah. But cool model. I hope they come with a helmet and not this like weird goggle thing.
Right.
But...
It's 12 points per wound, so it's only 1 more than the standard Hearthkin for wound to cost ratio.
Yeah, they also have no melee profile. I guess they'll be toughness 6 in my league, which is nice. Anyway, they make me sad. I thought that they'd be better. Sagittar. So the most interesting part about these to me isn't even on this data sheet. It's that if you scroll down to the points, they're fast attack. Which means that to me in my list, because these guys are so slow, I am at least going to be bringing a lot of the bikes. Because it's the only way that this army gets any speed, really. And the bikes have fly. So they are immediately like one of the best bikes in the game. So you can ignore terrain, you can zip all over the place, they're accelerated, you can move very fast. I should probably talk about how much I love them when we get to their data sheet. I thought, that's a really long way of me explaining that. I thought this would be a transport option, but it is not. I thought it would be more akin to a Rhino than it is a repulsor, but it actually has guns. It's got a decent 3-up 3-up ballistic skill. They come in squads of 1 to 2.
It has void armor. Let's not forget that.
It does have void armor. It cannot carry exo armor or exo frame models. And then the weirdest thing here is this mounted assault ability. So because the Hearthkin can only come in units of 10, but they obviously didn't want to make the base like transport for the army carry 10 models, it only carries 5. So what they do is they have this huge description in here of how it effectively allows you to combat squad the Hearthkin warriors.
Yeah,
but only if you put them into the Sagittars. I don't know. It's
or
weird.
Berserks, yeah.
Yeah, or
there's some
Berserks,
weird
yeah.
like split rule stuff there, but I mean, I plan on playing that with the Chronos side when I play the Chronos side of the army. Like I'll play with it and see how bad it is or how good it is. But yeah, I mean, they got some decent shooting. Got 9 wounds. It's a toughness 7, so that's always nice.
In your league, maybe. In mine, it's T8.
Yeah. In my league, it's T7. But yeah, I mean, good weapon options. You can give them the missiles. These are they got the same name as the other missile launcher, like the L7. Is that the one it is? But it's a completely different profile.
No, it's the
That's
same.
confusing. Is
It's
it
the
still
same.
a 9 on the other one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
It's the exact same profile as the one that's on the Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I think these guys are pretty good, and they're only like 110 points. So
yeah, they're relatively cheap.
They have a couple like fewer wounds than a Rhino, but their offense is way better than a Rhino. Obviously, a Rhino can transport 10, and this thing can only do 5. But you know, I think it's pretty neat.
2 of them, and they got 10, and they hang out together. You know, they're kind of like a train.
Beep beep. I think the model's cool. I don't know if I'm gonna rush out the way I'm playing the game right now. I don't know if I'll rush out and buy any. I'll have to have one just to paint it, but yeah. I don't know how often I'll stick them on the table though. It is accelerated, by the way, so this thing can also move 24 inches.
Well, see, that's how you get your Berserks down the board.
That's true. It just has to live through a whole turn.
It's got 9 modes. It's fine.
All right, now we come to the pioneers, like the bikers. These guys are fast. They're obsec. They're pretty cheap. I think they're only like 30 points a model or something.
30 points a model. Normally, yeah.
Yeah. You can take up to either 3 or 6. Every 3 you get a heavy weapon. Which this rotary cannon is actually pretty cool. It is 9 shots, strength 6, 1 hits 2 AP, 1 damage. There's some upgrades you can give them. They can also get the comms array, so they only have to be within 24 inches of a call to get the rerolls. The searchlight makes it so that there is also a stratagem for adding a judgment token when you have the searchlight keyword.
Only reason to bring this.
But they also don't get dense cover if you're attacking them, if you take that upgrade. And then they also have the spectral scanner, which means they don't get light cover. So if you upgrade these guys all the way, your enemy aren't going to get dense or light cover. And then you can put judgment tokens on them for 1 CP. They're very, very fast. They're obsec. They're toughness 5, 3 wounds. So they're just like a Space Marine biker, like a firstborn biker. They'll be toughness 6 when I'm playing them. But yeah, I think these are going to be like a linchpin, man. If you want to spread out, you know, you gotta. None of the rest of the army is fast. You can deep strike the exosuits, and there's a teleportation stratagem. Otherwise, like everybody's moving speed 5.
Yeah, and you're giving up stuff for that deep strike. So
Yeah.
You're giving up the 4-up invuln on one of your dudes, or you're giving up. Yeah. I probably won't deep strike anybody. I might have like one unit to sit in the background ready to deep strike, just because it's nice to have that in your back pocket.
Mhm.
The other key piece with these guys, on top of the scanners, all that, is that they are outriders, and so they get a pre-game movement of 12 inches.
That's right. Thank you. They get a pre-game movement of 12 inches.
12
That is their
fucking
full.
inches.
That's their full movement. Usually pre-game moves will be like 9-inch pre-game move or something. Even though the movement of the model might be 12, it'll straight up say you can only move 9 or whatever. No, these guys just get their full movement. I will point out as well that they have accelerated. So for 1 CP, they're moving 24 inches. I'm serious.
Pre-game. Can you use that during pre-game?
No, not in the pregame, because the pregame move isn't. Oh well, actually, it says as if it's your movement phase, and then that stratagem says in your movement phase. So maybe that seems really good. 24-inch pregame move. Oh man.
You just get shot up, but still funny.
Yeah. Anyway, unlikely that that's actually a thing, but they can move 24 inches. So, late game, you can, if some of these guys are still alive, you can spread out, you can get your engage on all fronts points and all that stuff. These guys are really, really fast, and they have fly. So that's a 24-inch move with fly. So you're ignoring all the terrain between you and like where you're going. You don't have to fly around stuff. You just boop, you're done.
Yeah, and you're OBSEC.
And you're OBSEC. And if you're in the Greater Athonian League, these guys are double the actual amount of models that they have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, I think the Greater Athonian League is actually the competitive choice, but I really want to run some +1 toughness bullshit for a little bit. These guys are great. I can't imagine that we'll ever see a medal list at all that doesn't have at least 6 of these in it in 2 groups of 3. They're too good.
I think we're gonna see, as cheap as they are. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if people are maxing these out.
Yeah.
Right? 18 of them is going to cost you 500-ish points. That's only a quarter of your army, and 18 of these dudes got a lot of coverage.
Yep. And like with that many, you can even feed them slowly throughout the course of the game, and keep scoring those things that you need to score. So I love them. I don't see how you don't actually take them. What's the concussion keyword do? It's got to be a stratagem, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
All right. I want to find out real quick, and then we'll go to the land fortress. All right. So these are war gear stratagems, by the way. Site transport, pan-spectral warning, explosives, so scanner, teleport. It was concussion, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's in there with the war gear stratagems.
Oh.
Basically, use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Votann concussion unit from your army is selected to shoot. Select one enemy unit within 6 inches. Until the start of your next shooting phase, they cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend, and each time they make an attack, it's -1 to the attack roll for 1 CP.
Yeah. So you can zoom up with these guys, spend one CP, and turn off Overwatch on a Greater Brass Scorpion.
Yeah.
Or a kill rig, or any other big thing that you want to charge and kill, but don't want to charge because of Overwatch. So yeah, that's pretty good. All right. Where's that land fortress? There she is. And then we're almost done now. It's this and the points, and then we're done. All right, land fortress. This thing I was so dubious. I saw the model. I wanted it because I'm just basically an 8-year-old forever, and I think it's cool. But when I saw this is what a fucking Land Raider should be.
Yeah, like, this thing's awesome.
So it's toughness 8. It is 16 wounds. It is a 2-up save. That is equal to a Land Raider, but it has exo armor. So you can't reroll wounds against it, can't reroll damage against it, and it's got armor of contempt. So, like, and there's a stratagem in here, by the way, for your land fortress to act as if it's on its top profile, FYI. Then you get your little Forge Master friend to follow it. So it's going to hit on 2s. It's going to reroll. Well, actually, it's core for the reroll auras, so it won't reroll, but it's going to hit on 2s. Probably going to fire at something with at least 1 judgment token on it, and you're going to upgrade for free to the heavy Magna Rail cannon because it's heavy 1, 36-inch range, strength 14, minus 4 AP, 2d3 plus 6 damage with the Magna Rail keyword.
Yeah, how does a heavy Magna cannon not have a cost? It's like the best weapon profile on there.
Yeah.
Everything else it costs to upgrade, to downgrade to.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. You can upgrade to these like missile launchers. I don't think any of these missile launchers are worth it, personally. It has 4 of these bolt cannons, just stock. So 36-inch range, Hunter 2, Strength 6, minus 2 AP, 2 damage. So they're basically better heavy bolt guns. And or better heavy bolters with 1 less shot, but like higher toughness and better AP. And it has 4 of them stock. So that's 8 shots at strength 6, minus 2, 2 damage. Auto wounding from your judgment tokens. And is it the cyclic ion cannon you have to replace for the?
No, that would be insane. No, you can replace 4 of them with 4 ion beamers, which are 18-inch beam weapons.
Yeah, that's right. I was
AP2.
It's the ion cannon that you replace with the Magna Rail.
Yeah.
And then also, so it comes with the pan spectral scanner, which we've talked about as an upgrade on some of these things. Before that allows you to ignore light cover. You can spend 10 points and replace that with one of these terrible one-shot missiles. I would never do that. Removing light cover is too good for those bolt cannons.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, like, who would use that one-use missile?
You're like, I have 10 points left in my list. Fuck it.
I don't. Yeah,
don't know it. I already have hammers on all of my HQs, so let's do that. I can't think of using it otherwise. But yes, you can put 4 ion beamers on it for 5 points each, I think. So you'd lose the bolt cannons, you get the ion beamers. They're 18-inch range. Hunter 2, Strength 7, minus 2, 2 damage with the beam keyword. Which I was thinking about how I would actually use this thing. And I think the ion beamers might be worth it. Yeah. Because like you're gonna plod this thing up into the middle-ish of the board. That 18-inch won't matter. You're gonna have so does Uthar's auto unmodified 6 during a hit roll happen before or after you see what this guy rolls to hit? I think it said when selected to shoot, you can do that. So I think you have to decide to do it, but it depends on the actual wording.
Now, when do you make a hit roll, wound roll?
Oh, okay. So after.
So it's after.
So after. Yeah.
So yeah, you roll and then you go, well, I want some auto damage here.
Yeah. So Uthar's gonna turn it into.
You got 2 dudes just supporting these cannons.
Yeah. So you have your little Ironkin Tech Marine dude right behind it, healing it for 4 damage every single turn, making the first attack it takes do no damage, or the first big hit it takes do no damage. You're going to be hitting on 2s. You're gonna be auto wounding a bunch of the time. If you have Uthar there as the great Therian League, you can make sure that that Magna Cannon is doing that massive amount of spreading damage every single time it shoots. I can honestly see 2 of these in a list.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I plan on having 2 of these with Ymir.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I sent you that list that I wrote up in like 5 minutes. Like, oh, we got 5 minutes before we're actually going to stream, and then your internet went down. I never updated it after actually spending a bunch of time with this Codex. So,
also, it moves 10 normally, but the way that accelerated keyword is phrased, if you choose to advance, you replace its movement characteristic with 12, which means if it's on its bottom bracket and you need it to get out of there, you can spend 1 CP and have it hoof out of there at 12. These things are just good. Like this has all of the support that a land raider should have. And it's 35 points cheaper than a 35 points cheaper than a land raider.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in my league, it'll be toughness 9. Which is hilarious. There's a lot of strength 8 shooting out there. All of that'll be wounding on 5s. It can hold 12 infantry models. Exo armor is 2 spots, and exo frame is 3 spots. Yeah. Pretty cool. What do you think, Zach?
I am super excited, but I'm upset because this model doesn't come out for a while.
No, actually, it's on the Leaks and Rumors channel on our Discord. Let me just pull that up real quick, just so I can follow along.
So yeah, there it is.
Yeah, so Army set release will be September 24th. So that's in a few weeks. October 22nd, we'll get most of the rest of the stuff that you really, really care about. Oh no, the Warriors don't even come out till October 29th. Huh. All right.
Yeah.
And the Pioneers even. Oh, that's kind of... Okay, never mind.
Yeah, so basically it's buy the army set, start building some stuff up.
Yeah. Paint it all, and you got 1 month.
All, get some proxies going. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Exactly it.
Yeah.
It's you want these just to take out those units for sure.
Yeah. It's good. And I think it's cool. It's not realistic at all. Well,
it's just dwarves. I wanted some sort of before this came out, my brain was just thinking heavy weapons. Oh yeah, cannons, shit like that.
I was thinking the same thing. That's why I was so excited for those Thunderkin, man. That would be I thought they'd, be rocking some absolutely heinous firepower, but it's they're basically just slower grab Space Marines, but there's no drop pod to drop them down into, which is what you do with grav troops, right?
Well, I mean, if they were still in their Space Marine first, pre-Primaris army that they were originally from, then that would be the case. They would have those drop pods, but no,
not the Khorne Berserkers. I want to see the. All right, we'll go back to the PDF. So yeah, this thing is bonkers. It's cool looking. It's inexpensive for what it does.
I shall have 2 of them.
All right, here's the points. So Uthar is 140 points. A Cal is 70. If you upgrade him with the 40-point Botanic Council upgrade, obviously he would come to 110.
And you're going to want to give him that Rampart crest.
For so 120.
Yeah, 120. If for some reason you have some extra points, you can give him a mass gauntlet. But
Einhar champion is under 100. The Grimnir is only 80, and then of course you're going to spend 25 points for 105 to make him the Lord Grimnir. The Iron Master also 80 points. You're going to spend the 25. If you're bringing him as a linchpin of the army, and you're going to want to get that Warlord trait on him, and you're going to want to spend the points upgrade. So you're looking at 105 and a Warlord trait at the least. Hearthkin are 11 points a model. We already know that. There's all the upgrades. You can see right here, the Magna Rail Rifle is 20 points. Most of the other stuff's 5, and then there's a couple other missile launchers and stuff that are 10.
You can upgrade to Iron Blasters for 1 point apiece.
There you go. Maybe that's what I was thinking about. The Hearthguard are 35 points apiece, and everything else on that data sheet is free except the Concussion Hammer, which is insane to me. 35 points a model. You know, a Death Watch Terminator is based the 33 points, and then if you put any special weapons on him at all, you're looking at, 38 to much more than that. The Berserker, 22 points a model. Okay, that's actually not bad. They're pretty cheap.
Yeah.
I would run those guys box standard cheap as hell. Because they have a feel no pain, you can use them to kind of screen mortal wounds and stuff too. So maybe they do have a place. So you don't upgrade every single model, by the way. So you can't have every one of those guys have the Meg gun and the metapack, even though that would be incredible.
You just give one of them the medical pack. That applies to the whole troop.
Right. As long as that model is still alive. But
yeah. So you pull him last or second to last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Berserkers are actually a lot less expensive than I thought, which is cool. Though, Pioneers, like I said, at 30 points a model, I'm that's a little spendy, but that's pretty much price to move, if you ask me.
Not price. That's about standard.
So if I go, hold on, I'm looking up factions, Space Marines. We'll just look up bikers real quick. They'll be fast attack. So Outriders, I'll use Outriders are 45 points apiece. Never mind. These guys are priced to move. Outriders have one more wound, but arguably every other part of their profile is worse.
Yeah,
except the movement. Worse. Yeah, I mean, Outriders move 14, but they don't have fly. So I'll take 12 and fly over 14 and no fly any day.
And you can spend a CP to make it 24.
Yeah. So the Pioneers are going to be those things aren't going to sit on shelves. Those are going to fly off the shelf. That's too good.
So just coming out, buy a couple packs.
Yeah. Sagittar are 110 apiece. If you want to upgrade to the Crazy Beam Cannon, it's another 20. So you're looking at the same price as a Razorback with the same transport capacity, only way better because it has void armor. And it's accelerated.
Your PDF's no longer at the front of the screen.
Oh.
Just click on the PDF, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to. I don't want to muck up too much of this now. Did I close it? No, I didn't. There it is. Okay, got it. So I think the Sagittar, they're not as fast and not as tough as a Rhino, but they have a lot more weapons. So they're an actual threat where Rhinos are basically just used to move block after guys have crawled out of them. That's all they do. And then they occasionally will chip a wound with some Stormbolter fire. That's it. The Thunderkin are 35 points. I don't know, man. They're so cool. I was just hoping for more. Like, if one of them had like a mortar option for some indirect fire, or some like just a big old backpack with like like fucking like big mortar tubes on it or something, that would be neat.
Like
but we don't have that.
toys.
Yes, exactly. And then we have the Big Mama, the Hexacon Land Fortress, 230. So that's 35 points cheaper than a base Land Raider, and for free you get the railgun.
So that's going to take up about 500 points on my list.
Yeah. So
2 of those.
And if you want, you can for 40 or for 20 more points, you get 4 ion beamers on there. You plop that thing right in the middle. You heal the crap out of it, and it kills stuff every single turn.
Lots of stuff. So can you have 2 of those Iron Masters, and can they both be upgraded?
You can only upgrade one of them. You can only put one Warlord trait on one of them.
Oh,
so there's no reason to run 2.
Yeah.
I mean, well, no, because you could still give each of your land fortresses +1 to hit, but only one of them would be getting the benefit of like the 4 heal.
The other one just get D3.
Yeah. Well, D3 +1, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for 80 points, you could run 2.
Yeah.
That's what a Tech Marine costs, 80 points. So,
I mean, it seems like a lot more bang for my buck than anything with my Stampa. So,
yeah. True. I'm going to jump into this list that I threw together. This is a couple days old now, so I probably understand more about this than I did when I made this list. But
yeah, I'm right there with you. But actually, I am going to go, but I need to eat.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I'll go over my list real quick then, man. Thanks for swinging by.
I'm sorry for leaving early, but I am just starving now.
It's been 3.5 hours, so.
Yeah.
All right. Later, man.
Later, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and later, Rick.
All right. Just real quick, because, it has been 3.5 hours, so. I want to take the +1 toughness league, reroll failed morale test, who cares? I would bring a call, I would upgrade him, mass gauntlet, and the rampart crest is mainly just because I had extra points. I would give him the experience eye warlord trait, so I could use grim efficiency twice around. So my first round, we're going to start with everybody basically having 1 judgment token from the league anyway. And then he would put 1 more token on 2 units. So we have 2 units at 2 tokens. Or I guess 2 units with 1 token, because it's not 1 more. It's just 1 token. Anyway. We got that Wombo combo Iron Master with the Master Armorer and all of that. The Grimnir, he would have the Relic and the upgrade to make him the Lord Grimnir. I would take the +1 toughness power along with the CP regen power. And then I took Null Vortex here. Knowing what I know now, I'd probably take the one that could turn off actions and make them fail, because that's just, if you can stop your opponent from scoring 5 points or 3 points, that's probably worth a power. The troops, I'd have 3 10-mans. All of them would be T5, of course. 1 in each one would have the mag cannon, 1 in each one would have the L7 missile launcher, 1 would have the meta pack, and 1 would have the comms array. So if they're within 24 inches of a call, they get the reroll still, which is super cool. And then I would bring 20 Hearthguard. This is mainly because I think they're awesome, not because I think this is any kind of crazy like meta pick. 2 I would bring 5-mans, and then I would probably put those in Deep Strike, and then the 10-man would start on the board with the Gray Crest relic. So as long as the enemy that's firing at them is more than 12 inches away, they are at -1 to be hit. Then I would take 3 3-mans of the Pioneers for all the reasons I just talked about. They're fast, they're OBSEC, they're just great. I'd have 1 in each of those 3-mans would have the high las rotary cannon, and then 2 of the 3 units would have a spotlight. But I didn't have enough points for them all to. I could probably take like the mass gauntlet off of the call and use it here now that I'm thinking about it. And then obviously I would take the land fortress with the heavy magna rail cannon, 230 points T9, just deleting things. That's 2,000 on the nose, 1 CP. I think that would be a fun list. A lot of it would be about moving up into the middle or near the middle with the land fortress and the Hearthguard. The troops would be holding down the back line and my rear objectives, while the bikes just move all around the board and are super annoying. Thoughts? Opinions? Hatred? Thank you for the stream. Votann are getting me into the tabletop side of Warhammer because dwarves. Thank you. Love dwarves. And it's been great seeing all the coverage. Yeah, I've said this before on my stream, but the Votann basically tick like every box for me. They have power armor, which is a sci-fi trope I absolutely love. They're dwarves, which is a fantasy trope I absolutely love. I don't even mind that it's a grudge thing. I, in fact, really like that their power armor for the exo suits look like the power armor from StarCraft. That doesn't bother me at all. I know some folks have like mentioned that they think that, you know, that's a big ripoff, but I think it looks great. I can't wait to actually paint these guys. And I've decided on my color scheme. It'll be yellow armor and red cloth. So, yeah. Excited to use that old airbrush and really get some creamy yellows. So, yeah. Well, it's been 3.5 hours. Finally got to do this coverage. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. We wanted to do this the day that these leaks hit, but obviously my router exploded. Yeah, my router exploded, and then the last like 48 to 72 hours have been an absolute emotional whirlwind because we discovered my cat, Sylvie, who isn't even 2, has a pretty serious condition. At first we were told it isn't even treatable and that it's going to be fatal, but we discovered that that isn't the case, and so now we're treating her. So it's been a bonkers few days. But thank you for joining me, everybody. I am super excited to buy and paint and play my dwarves. And we'll see some more RTT stuff coming soon, I think. Thank you, Kin, for the comment about the kitty. She's amazing. So, yeah, she's totally worth it. Yeah. So, don't forget to share, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff down below. There's a link to my Discord. The more people that join, the more active it gets, and the more fun it gets. So, climb on in if you're curious. And then I know a bunch of you in here are from the Waystone Discord. So if you're around Seattle, and you want a super chill, awesome place to go play Warhammer, look up Waystone Gaming. It's run by Stefan over at the One Last Blade channel, and he's just a fantastic human being. So yeah, thank you everybody, and I'll see you soon. Got some more Grey Knight Brotherhood redesign stuff I'm actively working on. But until then, don't forget, call your mother.